where the Paralympics will take place next year. Today, we're in the south of the capital. So this is the schedule. Men's javelin throw F54 gets us underway. We also have the men's discus throw F37. Mikola Zapniak, the European champion, up against Joao Teixeira, the world champion. Then we have the women's shot put F12. Paralympic champion, Safia Volkanova, up against the world champion, Assunta Lednante. 4 world golds and 2 Paralympic golds. One track event, the men's 100 metres T52. We'll see if Maxim Karaban can make it a double. Having won the gold in the 400, he goes for gold in the 100 in the T52 wheelchair category. Angola, staying at our hotel actually, and there is a large contingent of the Angolans at these Para-Athletics World Championships. It's a nice bright day, isn't it? Very much looking forward to it. In the morning session, we'll have 5 finals, 4 in the field, 1 on the track, and in the evening session, 10 finals, 5 in the field and 5 on the track. I'm Tolson Tollett. Will Downing, as always, alongside me, and Steph Reid, the former Paralympic medalist and World Championship medalist from 2017 in London in the long jump, is alongside me as well. And those 4 field events scheduled to get underway very shortly. The first of those will be the men's javelin throw F54. Now, there are only 3 athletes who are going out in this one, and I'll let Will Downing talk you through this.
Yes, and in terms of global competition, this is new ground, or largely unestablished ground for them all. Ladislav Kukrin, who is 5th in the javelin at the Paralympic Games. Manolis Stefanudakis, who we're seeing for the first time in a global championship. And similarly for India's Abhishek Kamoli. Seated competition. And those are the 3. They are battling for gold and silver only. That's important to point out. It's a -1 rule that they work on in para-athletics. The championship record that they'll be aiming for is 29.77. Well, actually, they'll be aiming for gold, but that would be a bonus. Set by Hamid Amiri 4 years ago in Dubai for Iran. The world record in this was only set 2 years ago in Minneapolis, and that was by Justin Pongsavin. Parasport.dk, parasport.dk. If you're watching in Denmark and you want to know a lot more, can't offhand tell you the Ecuador one because I didn't know he was going to be there. But Denmark have picked up a silver so far. That was Daniel Wagner in the long jump. And they've been finding medals. Some nations have been finding medals a little bit tougher to get than usual. The host nation, France, 2 bronzes yesterday, which they celebrated overjoyously. They've got 4 bronzes so far as they aim to pick up some more medals. And if Brent Lakatos was a nation, he'd be riding quite high. He'd be above the host nation.
Well, talking of Mr. Steph Reid,
hello,
Steph Reid herself is with us, and you talk about the French, and Valentin Bertrand was having a chat with Steph Reid this morning about his bronze medal yesterday.
And he was ecstatic. As you could see, he was in the hotel, just finishing up breakfast. We did ask if he'd had a decent celebration, to which he said, with a big smile, yeah, it was okay. But it's so, it doesn't always turn out that way. You work so hard, and there's never any guarantees that when you come to a champs and that hard work does pay off, it does good. And I'm a big fan. I always tell athletes, celebrate the wins, celebrate them hard, because you never know when the next one's going to come.
I'll just say very briefly, because Vanessa Lowe's, the Paralympic champion, won bronze and was just edged out right at the end from silver. So just, you know, her other half is Scott Reardon, the former 100 metres world champion, who's her coach now. Just sent a little note saying, oh, well, you know, commiserations of that. And he said, what are you talking about? We're delighted. You know, she's just come back from injury. It was a big fear she wasn't going to get it. And the thing we were saying yesterday, remembering that the last few major championships had to be in empty stadiums, they were absolutely overjoyed in front of their family as well. So congratulations.
Men's discus throw F37 will take place as well very shortly. Joao Teixeira, the world champion, will go in this one. 51.24, his season best, and Zapniak, the European champion, will also go 51.13, his best for the Ukrainian. He is the championship record holder as well. That 55.71 set in Lyon 10 years ago. So this is the men's discus throw F37 field. There are 12 set to go. Jakub Miroslav, lifetime best set this year of 40.46. He's fourth in the shot put already at these championships, just missing out on a medal in that one. Jesse Zizou, ranked second in the world in this event. Didn't actually know what parasport was until a short time ago. All of a sudden, he's at the World Championships, his first. Lukas Czarnecki of Poland. And Donatas Dundas, who's been around for a while, silver at the Europeans in 2021. He's seventh in the shot put here at these championships. Hamdi Wefeli, lifetime best of 58.5 for the Tunisian. Murphychep of Uzbekistan, who won a silver in the shot put here. Hamid Ali of Kuwait, lifetime best of 43.98, season best of 42.10. Guy Henley of Australia, he won silver in 2015 and 17 in the Worlds. He won bronze in 2013 and 19. The only one missing is the gold. This man knows about that. Joao Teixeira, the reigning world champion, he was bronze in Tokyo in 2020, looking to make himself a double world champion. And it was Alexander Varela, who was fourth in 2019, so close, sixth in 2020 in Tokyo. Talking of Tokyo, Shinbei Yamato, the Japanese athlete, and Mikola Żabniak, the championship record holder, European champion. He was bronze in 2008, silver in 16 and 20. He's also won the European Championship in 2018 and 2021. So the breeze out on the field a little bit stronger than it is near the more covered area where the long jump will take place next to the stand. That the discus we're moving away from as we head across to our left and get a look at how close these athletes are when it comes to the competition near each other. And the men's javelin throw will be next to them, and then we'll get to that and what's happening there very shortly. But this is going to get underway now. The discus throw F37 for men is Jakub Miroslav, who's going to go first. So no messing around after the introductions. The man who was fourth in his shot put, so he's already acclimatized to the competition and Stade Charlotte as well. And what has been, I have to say, a wonderful venue, providing so many world records, championship records, season bests and lifetime bests over the course of the past 8 days. Let it continue, please, for the next two as Miroslav goes with his opener. Always nice to see a lefty as well.
This is an F37 event. So that is a balance and coordination impairment event, and it shows up in one side of your body. So bearing in mind, as you watch this technique, because the dominant throwing arm and the dominant leg that you would want to stabilize on, they can't match. So at some point, that is going to impact your technique and how you're throwing. So just watch, as it looks like most of the athletes are choosing to throw with their, some people will sometimes say their good arm. I don't like saying that because both limbs are good, but it is a stronger arm, which then means that they're having at the end of the throw to stabilize themselves with their not as strong leg. And that just shows that, well, okay, so in that case, it's gone into the net, and that will be a foul. You can foul if you go out of the disc or into the net, and you can just see how difficult it is to maintain your balance on what potentially might not be your stronger leg. Yeah,
that was a double foul there from Jesse Zizou, the Canadian. Miroslav, by the way, foul with his opener as well. So Czarnecki of Poland is up, and he does have a mark. So regardless of what he's thrown there, he will take the lead. Will Lukas Czarnecki, whose lifetime best is 46.09. He's quite down on that this year. 42.34 this season. So he's got a bit of work to do if he wants to get up near that lifetime best. There's the spin, the rotation, the movement. And as Steph said, if you step over the mark at the front there, it will be a foul. It landed in the quadrant. So 40.34 for Shinetsky takes him into an early lead. Donatas Dundas of Lithuania, silver medalist in the European Championships in Bydgoszcz in 2021. He was 7th here in these championships in the shot put. And that is a legal throw as well. Certainly when it goes to where it landed anyway. Interesting story on Jesse Zizou, who went a moment or two ago. Yeah, he didn't know much about parasport. That has just stayed inside, and without hitting the netting, that would have been a foul, but it stayed in. But Jesse Zizou didn't know about parasport, what it really was, until he found out about it and then realised he was a good enough mark to actually perform in parasport, and all of a sudden he finds himself at his first major championship. So he'll be hoping better than that foul in the first row. So we've had 2 fouls, or 3 fouls I should say, so far, because Dundas has actually fouled there. So it's been called as a foul. So 3 of the first 4 have fouled with their opening throws, as we had to Hamdi Wefeli of Tunisia.
And I think, I mean, those first few fouls can be indicative, of course, of nerves. But again, it can just show how difficult it can be at the end to balance that throw. And this is, I think this is why so many elite able-bodied coaches are so excited about taking on Paralympic athletes. Many of them have said that what they've really loved, what they've really enjoyed about it is when you are presented with a new high-performance puzzle and you have to help someone figure out a way to throw, which may not be the traditional technique everybody has been using for years, but you have to match it to the athlete's capability and the athlete's abilities. And they just love this process of thinking outside the box and proving you can still throw really far.
Well, 48.53 for Wefeli puts him into first position by quite some distance, by around 8 metres or so. Yeah, the discus, when I was younger, I never really got into it. I always found it really hard to make sure when you were holding the discus to keep it within your hand and that it wouldn't slip as you were turning, because we'd always try and emulate what the greats were doing, and you'd try and do the spin and you'd try and get as much distance as you can, as much power and speed as you can. But I always found it really difficult with the discus as you spun to try and keep it in your hand. As you inverted your hand, you turned it around and then you spun, and I found that a real problem.
Well, the problem is what we're seeing here are people at the top of the game. We forget that they all went through progression.
I'm cut. Steph Reed has cut me.
What I was trying to say.
I'm going to have to go for a walk.
That's fair. That's fair. Don't apologise.
Okay, there are progressions, and so if you're watching and perhaps also experiencing what Telson was talking about.
I was about 10, by the way.
There are steps that you take, and maybe you start from a standing stance, or maybe you even start with a smaller disc. This was never my event because my hands are quite small.
Well, that's a foul, by the way. So, remarkably, we've had 4 fouls and 2 legal throws first up. Wefeli leads on 48.53. Shinetsky, the pole, 40.34. The rest, including the European and World Champion, are set to come as we move across to a new event. And it is the women's shot put F12 final. There are 10 set to go in this one.
Yes, and we're talking about the medium level of visual impairment there, and one of the all-time greats we're going to see very soon.
Zhu Wenwei, who's won silver in the discus here in 2023 already. And this lady, Asunta Nante, I love her mask. It always makes me smile. She's always got a lovely mask, the gold medalist from 2017 and 2018, the Europeans. She made a debut at the European Juniors in Ljubljana in 1997. Sofia Berkanova, reigning Paralympic champion, silver in 2016, silver in 2019, behind Lignante. Zheng Lingmin, the gold medalist from these championships in the discus, her best in this event, bronze back in 2012 in London. Semat Demirkapu of Turkey, her lifetime best set this year of 9.94. Zhao Yuping, she's also won gold already at these championships. That came in the javelin. So 2 gold medalists already competing from these championships in the women's shot put F12 medium visual impairment. Isabela Campos of Brazil, bronze medalist in 2013 in Lyon, also over here in France. Paola Erasmatu of Spain, 10.81, her season best is also her lifetime best as well. And Great Britain's Lydia Church, who took a silver medal at the European Championships in Bydgoszcz in Poland in 2021. And the last of the 10 from Chinese Taipei, it is Liu Yating with a season best of 9.90, lifetime best of 10.82. So the world champion Assunta Lignante is up against the Paralympic champion Sofia Berkanova. And we also have the gold medalist from the discus here, Zhang of China, and the gold medalist from the javelin, Zhao of China as well. So it promises to be a world-class field of throwing champions going in this one, and there are 10 set to go. We'll lose a couple after the first 3 rounds as per normal, and then we'll have 8 left for those final 3. The sun is absolutely blazing, and that is a different type of somewhere if you have not much hair on top. Thankfully I've got some at the moment. Still just, oh, down it goes.
That's actually too good a covering.
I think that would actually be warm upon your head, but anyway, horses for courses.
Well, if you're watching us from the booth right now, you might think that perhaps Will and I had a falling out. I can confirm we did not. It's just that Tolson happens to be sitting closest to the umbrella, so I'm trying to get as close to that side as possible. It is extremely hot if the sun is beating down on you.
Steph Reed out of uniform today, by the way, just to let you know. She's dressed up in a nice evening gown, I suppose you could call that. She's got a presentation to make to someone later on that she was supposed to be keeping quiet, but hey, just like youngsters, you speak your mind sometimes. And
well, for starters, nobody told me, but also I'm a terrible secret keeper, so there you go.
You must be terrible to watch Netflix. Will we watch this Bruce Willis movie? Oh, the one where he's a ghost? Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, and let's do that. And the funny part was, I said to her about something yesterday about a show, and she said, oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me. And then she did that. Anyway, back to the action. Xu Wenwei, silver medalist in a discus here at these championships. She gets first lifetime best set this year of 10.54. Xu. You can tell we're getting towards the end of the championships. It's getting rather personal, isn't it? Yes.
Well, we have spent a lot of time together these past few days. In the women's F12 shot put, I think we've been talking about it all week, but it's just because we admire it so much. It's the way that the athletes are able to maintain their balance without any sort of visual cues. And I mean, it's hard enough running in a straight line when you're blindfolded, but spinning and still being able to know when and where to release that shot put. And that's part of the reason why they go through this orientation process. And this is what her assistant is doing right now, and just setting her up and basically letting her know what direction to throw and then letting her get on with it.
9.89 for Xu. Here goes Lignante, who has got medals all throughout major championships. She's the current world champion, and that one looks quite long as well. 7:13.32 is her lifetime best. That's also the world record in the F11 category. She is an F11 athlete. That is complete visual impairment. There are F12s, medium visual impairment going in this. It is the women's shot put F12. But there are a mixture of 2 categories. Berkanova, the world record and championship record holder in the F12. She's the Paralympic champion. She will go next up. But this is the world champion. 14.92 with her opening throw, so it puts her into first place. She's quite some distance off her lifetime best and world record, but she does have first position and a throw as the Paralympic champion steps up to the circle. Sofia Berkanova of Uzbekistan. And they've done well in these championships, haven't they? Uzbekistan, they're so good in those field events. Paralympics as well. Not just in the field in the Paralympics, but on the track as well. So that's her first throw. That's out there as well. Similar around to what the area was that Lignante actually threw it into.
Now you'll notice that Lignante was wearing a mask whereas Burkanova is not. And so just to explain, this is an F12 category for shot put. And for the F12 categories, you have the option whether or not to use a mask. And because F11s are eligible to compete in this class, they can choose whether or not they want to wear masks. But in this case, it's not mandatory.
13.05, a season best for Safiva Burkanova of Uzbekistan. It puts her into second position. Zhang, who's won gold here in the discus, is placed into position by her guide. She is an F11 athlete, so as Steph Reed was saying there, the face mask has to be worn. The eye patches are actually put across before the face mask to make sure it is definitely 100% of no vision. As Zhang, the gold in the discus, throws out her opener. That's up near the 9-metre mark. Her season best is 10.57. I don't think she's anywhere near that.
It was so interesting to see her coach there orient herself, and we forget how much we use our eyes to do a lot of our balance work. And so when you can't do that, we've seen it a few times, even in the long jump, the way they hold up their arms and physically put their joints into that position of proprioception.
Well, Zhang's thrown 8.42 there. We have the third of the 4 field events taking place in the morning. The women's long jump T47. This will have the Paralympic champion Anna Grimaldi, who's won bronze over the 100 metres here already at these championships, and the world champion Cara Rodriguez, who won gold in the 100 metres here. So we have another competition between 2 of the medalists in that 100 metres event. So it is promising to be something special in this. First up, Steliani Smarageli of Greece, who won 6th back in 2012. She was a silver medalist at Europeans in 2018. Angelina Lanza, listen to this. Bronze medalist in 2017 in London, the European champion in 2018. Here is the reigning world champion, Cara Rodriguez of Ecuador. Bronze medal in Tokyo in 2020. Jules Ross of Germany, 4.92, her season best set this year for the 17-year-old. The Paralympic champion, Anna Grimaldi, bronze medal in the 100 here. She took bronze in 2015 in Doha, double Paralympic champion, silver in 2019. Venezuela's Paula Garcia, 5.44, her lifetime best set this year. Felipe Echevarria of Cuba, her lifetime best also set this year at 5.23. The second of the Germans, Kim-Marie Vasquez. Season best will need some pumping up. It's only 4.85 at the moment. Ability Udo of Nigeria. Another one who'll be needing to lift her lifetime best of 4.84 up to get into the medals. Aldana Isabel Ibáñez of Argentina, the 10th to be read out. And India's Chakunga Parambel, 5.26, her lifetime best. The gold medalist in 2017 is up next. Talia Williams of the United States, 5.61, that lifetime best for her. Petra Luteran from Hungary, who we've seen already a couple of times in the track events in these championships, 5.06, her lifetime best. Björk Nurdermark, the penultimate athlete to be read out. She took 11th place in Tokyo back in 2020. And Maria Clara Augusto of Brazil, 6th in the 100 metres here at these championships. That was a lifetime best in that. So she is lifting her pace when it comes to helping her out in the long jump. And you do, Steph Reed, need a fair bit of pace down the long jump runway.
Yes, you do. Essentially, you need to have the same top-end speed as a 100-meter sprinter would. You don't necessarily have the same start, the same starting speed out of the blocks, but that doesn't matter because it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get up to speed. The only thing that matters is that you are at speed when you get to that board. But that's why we'll often see a lot of crossover long jumpers going into the sprints just to, well, see if they can mix it and have a bit of fun, but because they want to increase their top end speed.
And there's the board they're getting ready at the moment. So the red board that you see there with the plasticine, that light greeny colour at the far end, they'll replace that if they need to. If someone steps onto that mark, they'll have another few of them ready to go, and a new one will come out. And yesterday we had a few issues, didn't we, on that runway yesterday, because of the rain in the morning that perhaps got under a section of the track further back that you can lift out.
Yeah, we had issues with the board. It just wasn't the takeoff board. Often on long jump runways, they're used for triple jump runways. And if you're a triple jumper, you have the option of jumping from an 11 meter or a 13 meter board. So farther down the runway, we have a board that's kind of like, it's like a replacement board for that that's also covered in Mondo. But if we think perhaps because it was so rainy, maybe some water got underneath it, it was a little bit loose. And the women that were jumping last night were leg amputees. And you really can feel the difference through a blade if you suddenly hit a surface that isn't the same. As she's walking back there, that's actually an example of the extra board. So it's the same size as the long jump board, but it's covered in Mondo, which is the blue track surface, when it's not being used in a triple jump competition. So it's great to see that the officials are doing everything they can to make sure conditions are as optimal as possible, and that is how many officials it takes to change a board.
Are you surprised that it's taken them until just before this competition is going to start to find an issue?
Well, I don't think it was an issue. So what happens is before the first jump, the athletes...
Not much wind, by the way, just to show you that. So we mark that car for the day.
Yeah, nice smooth wind. I actually don't think it was an issue with the board. It's just that when you're doing your takeoff jumps, you don't need plasticine on it. So they just had a plain red foul line, whereas now they're replacing that with a red board with plasticine on it. And the reason for the plasticine is because now the competition has started, they are watching for fouls, and fouls obviously matter in this competition.
Well, we just saw Chiara Rodriguez, the world champion, and just explain about these marks we see down here.
So those are the markers the athletes use during the warm-up. They actually came out about 40 minutes before we started because they need to set up their runway. So each athlete is given their own marker. Actually, they're given two, and they're all different colors because it can get quite confusing when you see the runway dotted with all those markers, and that is to help them set their runway.
Well, thanks for that, Steph. We're underway. It's Smaragdi of Greece who's first to go.
Yeah, Stella Smaragdi, regularly performing very strongly in the European circuit. Now, 5:42 is her lifetime best. This season, 5:21. Competitions, obviously, in the Grand Prix circuit, a bit more sporadic than the Diamond League. There's been around half a dozen good big quality Grand Prix meetings around the world, including in Mexico and Jalapa, been a couple in North Africa, and obviously this is one of the main Grand Prix venues around in the para-athletic circuit.
You can see there that Smaragdi, she has a beautiful, beautiful leg shoot, which is, she really kicks her ankles up there, but this is a women's T47 event, which means a single arm impairment, and you can just see that she doesn't quite windmill her arm around that right arm, but that is, again, one of the things that you have to consider when you're long jumping, how to make the technique work for you.
5:01 for her. Here comes Angelina Lanza. Well, if you're talking about one of the great stars of French parasport, of handy sport as it is here, she is one of the handiest, one of the frontline parasport athletes here.
Now, I've had several experiences in my 18-year career as a long jumper, but I have never jumped in front of a crowd with multiple versions of my face. But we've been seeing that a lot for a lot of the French athletes, and again, it's just a little glimpse of what will be to come for them when it comes to Paris 2024, and that was an excellent opening jump from Lanza. She has a solid runway, it was a solid jump, a great place to start.
Well, she's in the lead. The World Championship bronze medalist in 2017 in London, 5:25, puts her top for now in this opening round. Well, what a star of the week we have here in Chiara Rodriguez of Ecuador, in claiming the 100 meters title. A famous success. And now looking to put long jump glory with it, and it is best foot forward there. She really led with that left leg, and it's worked quite well. Used the board well, I'm sure, too.
What I love about this jump, you can just see how she is rotating a little bit when she comes into the landing, and that's just because that arm doesn't quite windmill round. But I love how she's adapted the technique and how she just twisted her body to just move that center of mass forward and maximize that length.
Well, that's a move from a particular kind of movie. Silver green stuff. Golden position, 580 for Rodriguez, is just below her lifetime best from this year. And for Germany, Jule Ross. And she's a 492 athlete, so task 1 to get above 5 meters today, task 2 to get close to the medals. She's down the rankings in terms of season's best, but she's used the board really well. And obviously you can see a little bit of the restricted flight coming in there. Target number 1 out of this field of 15 is just to get into the top 8 and to complete the competition all the way through.
Yeah, task number 1 is to get into those top 8. And you'll notice that in this arm amputee category, you'll see that some athletes choose to compete with an arm prosthesis and some don't. The benefit of competing with an arm prosthesis is that it just helps to balance the weight in your upper body. When your arms don't weigh the same, your core has to do an extra amount of work to keep that run smooth and even. But lots of athletes choose not to, so it is quite a personal choice.
Championship debut, the 17-year-old from Bayer Leverkusen, and she will hold her place in 4th spot, and we will hold that thought in terms of the long jump. Because next door we have the men's 100 meters T51 of the wheelchair races, the most impaired category. As the numbers wind down, the impairment factor increases, and we've got actually the two all-time greats in this category here. The reigning Paralympic 200 champion, the defending World 100 champion, and he's the reigning European champion as well, from Finland, Toni Piispanen. Lane 4 for Mexico, the 3-time world champion, the 2004 Paralympic champion in Athens over 200, Edgar Navarro. In lane 5 for Bahrain, first major championship for Mohamed Al-Shouk. And in lane 6 for Belgium, the reigning Paralympic champion. He's won this at the last 2 Paralympic Games. He's the reigning 200 European champion for Belgium, Peter Genin. Well, in terms of Belgian parasport, he has 4 years just about being the biggest name. So Genin in 6, Piispanen in 3. It is the top 3 to go through, and the next 2 fastest. And the men on either end know each other inside out. They have been jousting at the very top for the last dozen years. And they get drawn together in the heats. So Piispanen in 3, Navarro 4, Al-Shouk 5, and Genin in 6. Takes a little bit longer for them to get into their stride. Genin is doing that now. Piispanen the same. They're both on their way through. Do they want the win more than the other? A little glance across of both of them. And this is Genin's to take. 21:32. Piispanen in 2nd place. And Edgar Navarro is also through. Al-Shouk will have to wait on that. But that was a simple Sunday morning trot. And they both qualify. Now, there are not very many things in sport that are an absolute certainty. There's not many things you want to put the house on. You'd never recommend it. But that was as sure of a sporting certainty as you can get.
So just to orientate ourselves in terms of the wheelchair racing classes, so the men's T54 is a full trunk and arms, the men's T53 is full arms, no trunk, the T52 arms are affected, but the T51, which is the class we're watching right now, arms are affected even more. Now, we've been going quite deep into wheelchair racing technology and talking about gloves, and you will have seen here there is quite the variety in terms of gloves and in terms of hand positions when you start. And that's because their hands are very much affected in this class, and a lot of focus goes into how you will find that connection between yourself and the push rims, which is how they're pushing that wheel. And again, this just shows that in parasport, this is all about figuring out what your body can do and making it work for you, making the best of it. And you can see there that, again, and even with quite an unusual technique, can still go very, very fast.
Easy, like a Sunday morning. Genin and Peaceman are through, and Navarro in third for Mexico. Al-Shuk will have to wait a little bit.
Women's long jump T47. Chiara Rodriguez in the lead at the moment. 5.80 is her best mark in that one. Rodriguez, the world champion. Here's the Paralympic champion, Anna Grimaldi, who also won bronze in the 100 metres here at these championships. Well, that looked pretty good off the board as well. Now, Rodriguez is out near that 6 metre mark with her opening jump, and Grimaldi doesn't look to be far off it as well. So good takeoff. She never lost rhythm at any stage, did she?
Well, we know she's a brilliant sprinter, and that did look like a fantastic jump, and I am very excited because I think we're going to have a battle on our hands. She came in with a season's best of 5.87. Chiara Rodriguez came in with a season's best of 5.88. 1 centimeter, and they look like they are up for the fight.
That's the first up jump of Eula Ross, who went a little bit earlier, and Vasquez after Eula Ross. So the jump of Grimaldi was 5.75, Ross was 4.84, and Vasquez looks pretty similar around that mark as well. He's second of the Germans who are going in this T47 women's long jump final. You just mentioned about Rodriguez and Grimaldi though with their jumps. The championship record is 5.92 from Nicole Rodamikina, I should say, back in Lyon in 2013. So that may be under threat. So Vasquez with 4.57 for her. And she is in 8th position.
Well, 6 meters is the magical mark in this women's T47 distance. And we've only ever had one, Carly Beattie from Australia, whom I had the pleasure of competing against way back in the day. They used to combine leg and arm amputees when we competed, and there was what we call the RASA system. So there was a factor that then took the distance and converted it depending on whether or not you were an arm or leg amputee. But now it's great. We have big fields and the categories are separated out.
Well, here's Ability Udo of Nigeria. 4.84 her lifetime best. She set that this year. So in all realistic intents and purposes, her battle today is going to be to beat that lifetime best.
Well, and you can tell from her run-up, it's very short, and that's normally the sign of a long jumper who is new and just learning. But my goodness, with that short run-up, she certainly generates a lot of speed. A short run-up also means that you can be quite accurate on the board, and sometimes this is the great thing to see about the World Championships. We're seeing athletes develop.
I have to say, that was one of the shortest run-ups I've ever seen. 4.74, and well, we had glory for goodness yesterday. I know one of her compatriots in international football is called Marvellous Nakamba, and ability is showing certainly that. She's in 8th place, Udo 4.74. So she's hanging at the moment. There's still quite a lot to go in this. Aidana Ibanez for Argentina next to go. And she's a 5.22 jumper. As stated, we've only gone past the magic 6 meter barrier only once ever in history in this competition. I mean, right now Rodriguez is 21 centimeters away from it. It's really, really good going, and very close to the championship record of 5.92 from Roland McKean in Lyon the last time we were in France for this. That's a solid effort, and that'll put her mid-table.
Yeah, and I mean, this heat is humongous. We have 15 women competing, and it's almost a final within a final. Only the top 8 will go on. So this first round, it's important because you have to get, well, one, you have to get a mark in the first 3 jumps, and 2, it needs to be big enough to move you up that field. And step number 1 is establishing your runway, and even with a little bit of wind, women have all done remarkably well. I don't think we have a single foul yet.
So now, next up for India, this is Nimisha Chakungalpa Rambil, 5:26 her lifetime best. Which would put her solidly right up the field, close to the medals right now. So she's 22 years old. She's got the crowd getting the rhythmic clapping going, which not many of her competitors have done so far, but she wants it. She wants the support. We had the Commonwealth Games there in New Delhi in 2010, which has a para element to it. Nice run up. It's heading out towards 5 meters in her championship debut. India have sent a really, really big team here, and they are reaping the rewards tremendously, particularly in the field events. And I know we have had a huge amount of viewers in India. Thank you very much for joining us. And you're definitely getting the results to match, and so is she, 496.
It's great to see. Yesterday, the crowd was actually getting a lesson in how to clap well. And the long jumpers have been loving it. Some long jumpers like it, some don't. I always found that when you asked for the clap, you then had to deliver. All eyes were on you.
And we'll now deliver further track action.
Yeah, the men's 100 T51, the second heat. We saw the opener just a few minutes ago when Peter Gannon and Tony Pispinen were in that, moving through to the final. Katie Forney, the 33-year-old from Toronto, the Canadian wheelchair rugby player, goes in lane 3. 44-year-old Mohamed Berahal of Algeria, discus gold back in 2012 as well. Roger Habsch, also 44 years of age, he took bronze in the 100 and 200 in 2020. Ernesto Fonseca, a best of 7th position in the 27 World Championships in London. And in lane 7, 43-year-old Peter Dupree, he won bronze in the 100 in 2013 in para-athletics. He's won 5 golds at World Championship level in the Road World Championships as a para-triathlete as well. So multi-talented Peter Dupree. Roger Habsch, 1932, his season best, quite some distance ahead of the rest. Now this is the first 3 who will go through automatically, and then we'll be looking for the next 2 fastest from this and the previous heat to go through to the final. And in lane 5, it is Roger Habsch, who has that 1932 season best, who gets away fastest of all. Great hand speed there from Habsch, and he's really moving smoothly down the middle in lane 5. He will take the victory. Across there, it's Cody Forney, who looks like he's going to take 2nd position, 20.17, and that has broken the championship record of Tony Pispinen that stood since 2019. Well, what's some effort there from Roger Habsch, 44 years of age. He absolutely flew away from the starting line, and his hand speed through that opening 30 metres was what set up that championship record. 19.96 is the official time that's been given. Forney gone through, qualifying in 21.86 in 2nd position as well. So 22.99, Mohamed Berahal takes up that 3rd automatic qualification position. But Roger Habsch, well, he's taken bronze in Tokyo in this event and the 200 as well, but he looks like he's in supreme form. 1932 his season best. 1996 a championship record, which is even outside that, Steph Reed.
that was a fantastic showing. I mean, clearly he was going to qualify. So really the real question was looking at the men behind him. Now, in this second heat, only 3 are guaranteed. There were 9 athletes entered in total. Only 8 could go through to the final. So I guess we're only going to lose 1 athlete. So the best way to think about it was if you were in a forest with your friends and you came across an angry bear, you don't have to beat the bear. You only have to run faster than one other person, because don't forget, they will be coming back to compete in the 100 finals tonight. So behind him, there was that real race going on for those final, not only final qualification spots, but also the fastest times behind them. They will have seen that first heat. They will have known what that time was, and they will have had it in their minds.
Well, remind me not to go on a forest walk with you, Steph Free. The bear is Roger Happs. He's broken the championship record. Forney and Berahal, and is the fastest heat. De Preya and Fonseca have also gone through, so all 5 have qualified in a championship record heat.
Men's discus, F37, coordination impairment. This is the championship record holder who took gold in Lyon 10 years ago. Last time we were in France, Mikola Zhabniak of Ukraine. You can't have a championships usually without him in the middles. He's down in 7th place right now, but that is a serious effort. Guy Henley of Australia is leading, 51.52. Yamato Shimbo of Japan in 2nd, 50.99. Basically, you have to break through 50 meters in order to get near the medals here, and he's done that. It's the second strongest in terms of coordination impairment. Obviously, each category has its subtleties. Zhabniak, nothing subtle about that. He's in the lead, goes into the gold medal position, 53.97. Ahead now of Guy Henley, with Shimbo 3rd and Teixeira now dropping into 4th place. No marks yet for Jesse Zezu of Canada and Donatas Stuntis of Lithuania, the regular European medalist. Long jump continuing as well to delight the crowds. Great victory for Chiaroni last night. So Nora Mark her first attempt for Denmark, a growing team, hence the large Danish support on this side of the stadium. Looks to have used the board well, going out towards 5 meters again. She's the 14th and the 15th to go. Major championship debut for her. She's 18 years old on a global basis. A fantastic sporting nation, but to see more and more in para sport is a joy.
When the number of athletes entered is this big, and Normark was number 14, you can imagine from the start of the competition, she's probably been waiting about 25 minutes. And so when you have a field this big, you have to really make sure that you are staying warm, that you're staying sharp, and taking the time to warm up before that jump.
Nora Mark, a great mark. 4th, lifetime best, 5:35. She's above Angelina Lanza, one of the favorites. That is spectacular. Well, Denmark have gained a silver medal so far this week. That was in the long jump, and suddenly they now have a big candidate. She was not riding high in terms of the season's list, but I'll tell you what, she is now. Don't you worry about that. Maria Gusto is the 15th and last to go in this opening round. Championship debut as well for the 19-year-old on a global basis. Only once has she gone above 5 meters. She's used the board really well. She's heading out towards 5.
The choice to wear an arm prosthesis when you run versus not is more down to a personal preference. I guess in terms of physics, it would make sense because it would just help to balance out your upper body, but in terms of practicalities, sometimes they can actually just feel quite cumbersome, they can get quite sweaty, and you might find that you just do better without it. So for example, when most amputees swim, I tried swimming with the swimming leg, and actually I didn't enjoy it. You don't need it in the water, so why bother? And so that's why a few athletes are choosing not to use the arm prosthesis.
Well, Augusto aiming for 8th for now. That's 5 meters. I have to tell you, that is the second best leap of her career. And she's done it in round 1. And she's only 1 centimetre behind Smaragdi, who we've seen medal quite a lot, mainly in European Championships. A really decent athlete, Stella Smaragdi, is a very good sprinter as well. And Augusto's right up there. She and Chakung Alpa Mrel in 10th spot. They're divided by 2 centimetres. And here is now again Stella Smaragdi. Well, in the opening round, she went to 5:01, so she's keeping Augusto at bay. And Chakung Alparambil. Stella Smaragdi, well, she finished 4th in Bydgoszcz at the last Europeans. She was edged out by 1 centimetre because Polly Mayton of Great Britain, with a lifetime best, edged her up by a single centimetre. So Stella's looking to make her mark today, definitely.
Smaragdi waited a long time on that runway. The way she was holding her hand at the beginning and just watching that clock count down all the way to about 10 seconds, it almost looked like she was holding her hand up, just trying to feel the wind and just waiting as long as possible to see when it was favorable. And wind makes a huge difference in this event. They have officials measuring the wind reading, and if the wind is too strong, if it's plus 2.0 behind you, it's not counted as a world record because it can make such a difference in the jump.
Silver 2018 behind Lanza, 8th place 5:01. We're going back to the track very quickly because we've semi-finals of the women's 200 T11. And there are 2 semi-finals coming up in this. So 3 of the 4 have already medalled this week. Liu Kujing, the championship and world record holder and the defending champion in this. But going first of all in lane 1 for Angola, having gone out in the semi-finals of the 1, Juliana Moko of Angola. In lane 3 for Brazil, the 100 meters champion this week, the Pan Am champion over 200, Jerusa Geber. In lane 5 for China, the defending champion, the championship record holder from 4 years ago in Dubai. Silver in the 1 here this week, Liu Kujing. And in lane 7 for Namibia, silver in the 400 meters here for Laya Ishatile of Namibia. All with guides, of course. Total visual impairment. Moko in 1, Geber in 3, Liu in 5, and Ishatile in lane 7. Guides respectively are Abel Santo, Gabriel dos Santos, Chen Shengming, and Sim Shimanda. Who, remember, once we reach the podium in the top 3, the guides all get medals now too, which in the early days wasn't the case. So it's just the winner of each of these 2 semi-finals, plus the next 2 who will qualify. Faster than this field this year, Jerusa Geber has been winning big medals in this since Beijing 2008 in the 200 meters. Moko in 1, Geber 3, Liu 5, Ishatile 7. So away first time. It's a nice start by Geber in 3, as you'd expect. The new 100 meters champion, but then she was the old 100 meters champion as well. And Liu has got a point to prove and a title to defend. She's moving up really well in lane 5. Just marginally in front ahead of Jerusa Geber, and it's only the winner definitely going through. Ishatile in 3rd spot. Now Geber is moving up, and Geber's going to take this. Geber wins it. Liu in 2nd. Ishatile 3rd. 25:05 the winning time, and Jerusa Geber is into the final. And tell you what, Sunday morning heat or not, Sunday morning semi-final or not, That's just outside the championship record. Jerusa Geba really going for it. It's only 800s outside her lifetime best set earlier this year. And you're talking about someone who's the Pan Am champion in this, and who's 15 years ago was her first championship medal in the 200, and it came in the Paralympic Games. Lou's going to have to hang on, but that's a decent time for her as well, and for Ishatile as well.
This is a women's T11 200, and that means that guides are mandatory, and that the athletes themselves, they are wearing eye patches and eye masks that are checked in the call room to make sure that they cannot see. And you're right, Liu got out to such a great start. But the thing is, if you notice, Liu's guide is on her outside, whereas Gerber's guide is on her inside. And because of that, I felt like Liu and her guide ran not the most aggressive bend. It was almost, he was so worried about her stepping on the line. And because her guide is on the inside, Gerber's guide in the yellow, he can control that foot on the line. Whereas Liu and her guide, because he's running on the far side, they actually had to run so far away from that inside line. They ended up running extra distance. And in this case, perhaps that extra distance really mattered at the end.
Well, obviously, they'll be checking Lou's stance on the bend very closely in that, but Jerusa Geba is okay.
The point was they ran so far away from the inside line. Had they been near the line, they risked disqualification. But the positioning of the guide just meant that Liu wasn't allowed to run the most aggressive bend.
So Geba takes it, and she is through to the final. One more semi to come.
Back to the long jump, and it is Chiara Rodriguez, reigning Paralympic champion.
Well, she's such an awesome speedster as well now, and she's made the grab this week, leaping up to the 100 meters. But that is such, I would dare to say, a unique style.
It is a unique style and a unique technique, and that's why I love it. It's so clever, the way that she is just twisting her body there. And it's not unusual to twist as you land. Again, when you twist, it just makes sure that your back is falling to the side, not behind you. But that is a way to maximize your landing on that distance when you have an imbalance on your arm at the top.
Well, 580 with her first jump. 588 is her lifetime best she set this season.
Now, Yura Ross is going to have to wait because Rodriguez's mark actually hasn't come up yet. It has now. It's not an improvement. It's 567 as we go to the championship debutante from Bayer Leverkusen.
Yura Ross. Next up, the German. She has some work to do to get into the top 8. She's currently in 11th position. 484 for Ross with her opener. 492 her lifetime best set this season. So we still haven't had the clock go up yet. The officials are now taking the cone away. They're happy with the pit. So Yura Ross will now get herself sorted as she looks to work her way up 3 places to try and get into that all-important top 8. There's Smaragdi, who's in 8th position on 5:01. So she'd need to find 18 centimetres to go past Smaragdi. She'd need to break her lifetime best as well.
Now, Ross was held on that runway for quite a long time, and as an athlete sometimes that can be tough because it just gives you that extra time to think, and sometimes thinking is not the most helpful. Sometimes you just want to act on instinct, and she does have a little bit of ground to make up, and we can see just from that angle she still is jumping quite far behind the board, and anytime you see an athlete jump behind the board, you know you can probably add about 20 centimeters to that jump. So perhaps she's having a chat now with her coach about adjusting that runway.
Well, 464, so she's 20 centimetres down on her first up jump. She'll have one last attempt to try and propel herself into last 8 status.
So it's almost a competition within a competition. You've got athletes jostling at the front for the top spots, but then we have athletes that are jostling to get into that top 8. Because the reason you get 6 long jumps is because sometimes it takes 6 times to nail it, and you want all 6 jumps.
Well, here goes Anna Grimaldi, the reigning Paralympic champion. And she jumps out of the pit quickly, which generally means that she'd like it.
Well, you can see visually there. I mean, perhaps we don't always have the best angle if you're not looking directly on. But she jumped very close to the cone, the orange cone that signifies the world record mark. And what I love about her run-up, she does use a more traditional technique in the air, but when she's running, it's barely imperceptible when she is about to take off, which just means that she knows how to carry all of that speed into her takeoff and just get that depth into the pit. You can see that orange cone with the R. There's a W on the other side, so it makes more sense, world record, but that marks that world record.
Well, she might have lost a couple of centimetres on the ball when she took off, but it's certainly a big jump. Well, she's equalled her lifetime best of 5:91. Now, she's just looking through the footage there of the jump. Perhaps they're looking at the board of where she took off from, but 5:91, she propels herself in to first position. She's 11 centimetres ahead of Chiara Rodriguez. So the second semi-final and the women's 200 metres T11 is due to get underway. The World and Paralympic champion Lou went in the opening semi-final. Jonas Salcedo, 19 years of age at her first major championship. 4 golds at the Pan American Games recently this year. Thalita Simplicio, bronze in the 100, gold in the 400 at these championships. She was silver in both Dubai and Tokyo in the last Worlds and Paralympic Games. Looking for a 3rd medal of these championships if she can get to the final. Mercy Yarova, the 24-year-old, has a gold in the long jump here at these championships of Uzbekistan. Aren't they having some time here? And Alba Garcia Fallaghan didn't get out of the heats in Tokyo 2020, so she'll be hoping for something better in this one. Is the first who goes through automatically, and the next 2 fastest will advance through to the final. This is the complete visual impairment category, where the athletes have to run with a guide. It is compulsory. Thalita Simplicio, bronze in that 100, gold in the 400. A versatile sprinter indeed, looking to medal in all 3 of the sprint titles on the track. Outside her, Mercy Yarova, the gold medalist in the long jump, who goes in lane 5. So complete silence for the women's 200 metres T11 start. Second semi-final. And away, all very well, looking excellent, is Mercy Yarova in lane 5 as she rounds up on the inside of Garcia Fallaghan, who looked like she was struggling somewhat with that synchronicity issue with the guide as she came around the bend. But moving down this home straight is Thalita Simplicio, the gold medalist over 400. She's going to take the victory, easing across the line. Mercy Yarova in the second position, 25:62 is the time. So outside the championship record for Thalita Simplicio. She pulled up slightly towards the end. She was doing it pretty well. She qualifies through. It is 25:61, the official time that is given. Salcedo will go through second and hope for one of those qualifying positions, or the qualifying position. Lifetime best for Mercy Yarova of 26:06. And Salcedo and Garcia Fallaghan may just have seen their championships in this event come to an end. Lifetime best there for Garcia Fallaghan, so she has a chance of sneaking through perhaps, and Salcedo in 4th position will go out. But that lady there, Thalita Simplicio, It was a solid start by everyone, but she got going around the 150 metres to go mark.
I looked at the start list and I thought, my goodness, there must be some tired legs in this race. All of the athletes have done at least one other event. Simplicio has done the 100 and the 400. This shot here with Murzarova, you can see there's huge separation between her and her guide. And again, I do think it's more of an advantage to have your guide on the inside on the 200 meters, because naturally on that curve, the centrifugal force is pulling you towards it, and the guide can actually use his body much better to direct the path of the athlete around the curve and also make sure that they don't touch that line. Just a thought, and I'm sure there's a reason why they don't, and some people will have a preference, but you couldn't help but notice there was just a little bit of a lack of synchronicity and just so much separation between Murzarova and her guide.
Simplicio goes through, qualifying 25.61. Murzarova and Garcia Fallaghan, lifetime bests for them.
Another beautiful morning in Paris. We've not had anything but, I believe, a little bit north of here. The weather's been absolutely dreadful all weekend. Not here. So now we go to the javelin. This is a very quick event. There's only 3 in this. And this is Manolis Stefanudakis. He's the reigning European champion, the former world and Paralympic champion. He won gold in Rio. He's gone out a good distance with that. And Stefanudakis has taken the gold. 29.17. Kukran with the silver, the European silver medalist for Slovakia. And Abhishek Kamoli of India is in 3rd place. And because there are only 3 starters in that, there is no bronze medal available, I'm afraid to say, for Abhishek Kamoli. Apologies earlier, by the way. I was just breezing through the introductions, and Stefanudakis just mentioned 1 or 2 of his achievements, but he's achieved a huge amount. He has been at one stage or another the champion of everywhere, including the former Paralympic champion. Well, now a lady with a lot of ability, and it's opening stages in her career for her. It's an interestingly short run-up for her in this T47, which is the arm amputee category.
I mean, Udo is definitely one to watch for the future. As you say, her run-up is very short, and yet the amount of power and speed she's able to generate off the runway and through the board. The sign of a short runway is usually that you're learning the technique, just like Tolson was learning to throw discus, but that's the process that you have to go through as an athlete, and as she's able to handle that speed at takeoff, that runway will move back.
Well, I'll tell you how good she is right here, right now. That is an African record, 5 meters 17, and she goes into 6th position. As we move to the shot put. And this is F12. This is the category of medium impairment. We're into the final round here. And Asante Linante of Italy, the perennial Paralympic champion, leads in this. But as an able-bodied athlete, we're watching the final attempt of Zhu in 6th place. Linante, absolutely world-class. And I know sometimes I go to able-bodied events and some will say, oh yeah, you've been off working on the Paralympic stuff again. Yeah, I don't know much about that. I mean, how good are they? Linante was the former European champion, full stop. In the indoors in Birmingham in 2007, she won quite a number of the European throw competitions, which is an outside of championship every year. And she won that 2 or 3 times. And she was the ultimate European champion on 2 occasions. I know Ilka Waluda as well, an ace thrower, actually in the shot, who was the Olympic champion for East Germany, then by London 2012 was a Paralympian and was in the medals for a couple of events there as well. Timur Kapu in 5th spot for Turkey. See, I go to the, let's say nominally the able-bodied events, and I just argue with people all the time.
It's interesting to see the difference in perceptions, and I've noticed that some people introduce me as an Olympian instead of a Paralympian. I'm like, no, I am a Paralympian. And, well, saying that, the women here are throwing a 4-kilogram shot, and that is the same weight as the Olympic women's weight. And again, I'm not using that as a comparison because I don't think it's about comparing, but more than anything, it's just about giving people a frame of reference so that they can understand just how far these throws are.
So Dema Kapu, that's a nice consistent set of marks. Lifetime best of 1080. She can ask no more. Now what Leah Church would like, if she can find it, is something around a lifetime best. She is 70 centimeters off a medal right now. That is a serious throw. So 11.59 she's gone to, and that is a red flag, and that's unfortunate. She stays in 4th place for Great Britain. 4 of her 6 throws have been flagged. Because remember, it's total visual impairment, and you're trying to get the spatial awareness in your mind exactly where you are. That was a brilliant throw. That was heading towards 12 meters without any doubt. But she's gone out of the circle, and that is a red flag. Oh, that was a brilliant effort by Church. For her, that was most unfortunate. You look at the gaps between the top 3, and maybe, just maybe, they are all cemented in now. Here's Zhao, 12.34, her best so far. That's beyond 11 meters. It is heading for bronze for Zhao. And that is a very positive Sunday morning for her.
You can see at the end there, she has transferred her body weight, and all of that force is going through that one leg, and she's having to balance on it. And again, that is a difficulty in this event, where it is a balancing event, and we forget just how much we use our eyes to orient ourselves, and as part of our whole proprioceptive system.
Season's best 12.78. Zhao gets the bronze. Barkanova of Uzbekistan, 13.56, and that looks to be a little bit further by the Paralympic champion. Silver in Rio in 2016. This will be her 4th World Championship silver. Now, Uzbekistan are having a really good championships. This is their 16th medal. They've won 5 gold. How good a championships is this? All time, up to this week, they had won 20 medals. It's now 36, thanks to Barkanova. Season's best 13.72, and this silver medal. So that's her 4th World Championship silver. But basically, in 1 games, Uzbekistan is set to double their all-time haul. They'd won 8 all-time golds prior to this. They've won 5 this week, with 4 sessions left to be completed. And here is the perennial champion, and she's the champion again. Asuntula Nyante takes the world crown.
Even from where we're sitting here, and I hope you heard it at home, you could hear her roar as she threw. And part of that, actually, it does help your throw. When you yell, it actually does contract your core muscles, giving you that better foundation. It was a tip I got in a gym, and I can confirm it really does work. You do get a couple of strange stares, but it's very effective. And I don't think Legante cared there as she roared out. Even before she threw, her coach had run off to pick up the flag from the team press officer because she had already won the gold medal.
Her 6th world title to go with her 2 Paralympic and 3 European crowns. Asuntula Nyante has basically been the best of all time. She doesn't win every time, but she's won this time. A gold medal too, always for the face mask. And now the patches can go off, just to be absolutely certain that each competitor is a T11. Those are the rules. But Nyante, the ultimate champion. She is an F11 in this F12 final. Assunte Nyante, 15.55. She gets the gold. Barkanova the silver. Zhao the bronze. The rest of the field. But hey, Assunta Nante, no need to call Universal. You're already a star. And a starry week for Uzbekistan. The whole family can celebrate. A real family affair. It is a 4th world silver for Sofia Berkanova. So back to the long jump. It is Augusto of Brazil, and that is a solid effort. T47.
So right now, Augusto is sitting in 12th place, and that is her second round jump. So she has one more jump now to get into that top 8. And the reason that matters so much is because when you're given 6 jumps on a long jump, it's because sometimes it can take 6 attempts to get into your groove. But if you don't make that top 8, then you only get 3. It is essentially a final within a final.
So no progress there as we go into round 3. Stella Smaragdi will be the next to go. I hope we get this same DJ for the Paralympics next year. He's brilliant.
Can you imagine if each athlete got to choose their own runway soundtrack?
Well, do you know something, right? At the Powerlifting World Championships in 2019, there was a British DJ based in Dubai who was brought over to Astana, and each athlete, they come out 3 times for 3 separate lifts. They were allowed to nominate for the first time 3 different walk-on songs if they wished, which was fantastic.
I love it. Will, what would your walk-on song be?
I think it would be... Ooh, I'll have to think about that. Smaragdi. That is unfortunately very close. Oh, she's okay. She gets the white flag.
Now, at the moment, Smaragdi is sitting in 11th. This jump is important. She's the first in the 3rd round. This is her final jump to get into that top 8. She was very aggressive on that board. Perfect. That's exactly what you want to do. Now, unfortunately, that jump wasn't high enough to move her up into top 8, and that will be the end of her competition.
Well, Stella finished second in the European final behind Lanza, previously of France, who is one of the picture stars here. Oh, she's completely overshot that, and absolutely no joy whatsoever.
Well, she did completely overshoot it, that's for sure. However, that was a fantastic runway. You could see the speed that she was generating. Unfortunately, she is in a slightly more comfortable position of being in 6th place. But don't forget, she is only the 2nd jumper of round 3, and there are still a few athletes who are very close to her. She knows she doesn't have much of a buffer. This will be a very uncomfortable wait for the end of this 3rd round.
I would think for a walk-on song, Rabbit from Chas and Dave, because that's what I'm paid to do. Now, see, I hesitated because the original thing that came into my head immediately was Shut Up by Madness, but that's about me. Because I think that's what a lot of people say when they turn the telly on. I will say about athletics and para-athletics, it is the sport where you come here and everybody says, listen, we're really, really happy you're here, as opposed to other sports where we're really sorry you're here. Not all other sports, certainly. Chiara Rodriguez is 580. Currently lying in 2nd place with the 100 meters world champion, and who is literally flying this week. And again, it is that Kung Fu loop through the air, which is so unique just to her, but it works for her. And she's done something really serious here in her joust against Anna Grimaldi.
I mean, that was big. I love it when you can hear the oohs and the ahs in the crowd. You don't even have to look, you know it's big.
Oh my Lord, it's a world record! 6:23 on a Sunday morning. Chiara Rodriguez, an absolute star, because the world record that stood for 10 years has gone, and it's gone in a way that you've never seen before.
I mean, we were expecting a tussle between Rodriguez and Grimaldi, and they have tussled back and forth with that lead. And the first person to congratulate her and give her a hug was Grimaldi. And you could see the difference at takeoff. Just watch for it. There was so much pop and height. She struggled that little bit extra to control it and almost doing even more of a kung fu kick than we've seen initially. I think that's what we're officially going to call the technique. And my goodness, does it work for her.
This is wonderful, because she has to adapt her body. She can know no other way. She's not used a lot of the board there. That's 15 centimeters, if you like, she's given away. But she's used the board, that's fine. But listen, to borrow the line from that song 10 minutes ago, girl, do call Universal. You are about to be a star. Here's Yule from Leverkusen, representing Germany in a championship debut. 16 years old, and to qualify for a championship is the big thing. This is the foundation week for her. It'll take something big for her to progress.
You're right, competing is a skill in and of itself. It's one thing to show up to training every day. It's a very, very different thing to compete and have to deal with everything that's going on around you, like just watching one of your competitors set a world record. And this very much is part of that process and part of learning how to focus on yourself, how to deal with those pressures, how to deliver what you've been working on when it matters most. Often we see the end result of an athlete. We never get the chance to see those learning stages, but they happen for everybody.
Well, that's what Scott Reardon was saying as well during the week. So much work going into everything. And these are men who work very hard too. And we have another of the new star names. And I've no doubt if you've been picking up your copy of the Dernier Heure Les Sport this weekend, you've seen a new name in it. We'll see him shortly. But the Paralympic bronze medalist goes in this men's 100 meters T52 in lane 1. That's Leonardo Perez of Mexico. In lane 2, championship debut for Canada. 8th in the 400 final, Anthony Bouchard. In lane 3, for Belgium, the new world 400 meters champion. And congratulations from the palace as well. It's Maxime Carabin. In lane 4 for Japan, bronze in the 400 meters. In his championship debut, it's Ito Tsutsua. In lane 5 for Australia, in his 5th World Championship, semi-finalist in the 4 here. He has been a 4th placer in the last 2 paras in the 100, Sam McIntosh. In lane 6 for Switzerland, 8th in the 1500 meters final in Dubai, it's Fabian Bloom. In lane 7, on his championship debut for Great Britain, from the Weir Archer Academy, lifetime best in the heats, Marcus Perrineau-Daly. And in lane 8, the Pan Am silver medalist in the 4 and the 15, bronze in the 1 in Lima last time out. For Colombia, it is Christian Torres. So T52 in terms of the 4 wheelchair racing categories in the 50th. This is the second most restricted. Maxime Carabin, sensational in taking 400 gold this week. Ito won the bronze in that. So it's Perez in 1, Bouchard in 2, Carabin 3, Ito 4, McIntosh 5, Bloom 6, Perrineau-Daly 7, Torres 8, 100 meters T52. And they are away at the first time of baskets. A nice start by Ito, the bronze medalist in the 4. Torres has started brilliantly, and now here comes Maxime Carabin. He's on the way. He's on the way to a double. The man from Liège speeding forward. A brilliant standard, 16.90. I make that championships we've ever seen, just behind Raymond Martin's championship record from 2017. Maxime Caraban of Belgium does the double in the 400 and now the 100. Bloom got the silver medal for Switzerland, but Maxime Caraban was unbeatable in the end. Perez moved up well into the bronze medal position. Perez, the former world championship silver medalist 10 years ago in Lyon. McIntosh, yet again, it is fourth place in a global final for him. But Maxime Caraban, well, the royal family in Belgium will have to make contact again and do something big for him when he comes back to Zaventem Airport in a couple of days' time. Caraban, Bloom, Perez, the 1, 2, 3, and Sam McIntosh so close to Australia again.
Well, I think once again we've seen 100 meters run on top speed. Now, if you look at Torres in the yellow in lane 8 and Bloom in the red in lane 6, you can see that they are fantastic starters. Their hand speed is so good, they get out so quickly, but as the race progresses, it comes down to a question of top speed, and there's no doubt that Caraban definitely is the one who has that in this race. And it's important to remember, or I guess think about, the fact that chairs are essentially single gear bicycles, and you can't just flick into a new gear. If you were on a bike and climbing a hill, which is kind of like the start of a race, you would have a very different gear to the gear you would want if you were on the flat, which is like what it is at the end of the race. And because these athletes can't just flick into gears, the only change they can make is with their arms, and they're changing the rate of the push, the rate of the hand speed, the power, and that is the skill in this 100 meters. You have to cover each section of the race. I mean, again, if it was a 30-meter race, that's very different, but it is 100 meters and top speed matters.
A championship debut to remember. He knows the way to go. Gold, 1690. Belgium second of the week. Caraban second of the week. Bloom the silver for Switzerland. And Perez the bronze for Mexico. Sam McIntosh, fourth again. One day, Sam, one day. You're due one, mate. But Maxime Caraban, a glorious week. It's propelled parasport back into the sports news in Belgium. I know that for a fact. And he's done it again today. He wasn't that far away from the world record, actually. But for a very, very new name from the city and the province of Liège, Maxime Caraban. Well, we all know who he is now.
Jabniak in the men's discus throw, F37. A season best, 41.83 with his first, 53.97 with this one. Propelled him into the first position and a gold medal for Ukraine. Jabniak celebrates another title for him. Henley of Australia with the silver. Shimbo almost up there into third position. He misses out to Teixeira in the end. So the world champion takes bronze. The European champion takes the gold medal. Teixeira no longer the world champion. It is now Jabniak, and Guy Henley of Australia, a silver medal for him, a season best, taking second. So rolling through the field events in the morning. 4 finals in the field. Just that one on the track we saw, and that gave us a world record. So what more can you ask for? Earlier on in the championship from that man from Belgium, and he's taken a second gold. Where does it stop?
Well, you said what more can we ask for? How about a very chaotic universal relay coming up?
And the long jump too, which continues with Ability Udo for Nigeria. Now that amazing African record that came in round 2 of 5 meters 17. Right now, she's still about 45 centimeters away from the medals. She's really giving us a lot to look at this morning. It's a major championship debut. She turned 17 on New Year's Eve last year.
It is an amazing championship debut, and for one, right now, she currently is sitting in the top 8, which is exactly what you want to do in your first champs. But I cannot wait to see her in a year's time when she has moved that runway back. Everything that she is doing right now, she has all of the pieces there, all of the foundation. Her coach is obviously being very methodical with this. I think he knows he has got something special on his hands, and he is taking his time and making sure that foundation is there.
Survival time for Ibanez of Argentina. The Pan Am bronze medalist from Lima 4 years ago, a competition we understand you'll be able to enjoy in full, by the way, the Para Pan Ams in November. Ibanez 5:10. Well, she needs to make up here. 5 centimeters basically. 4 would do on count back. Hechavari of Cuba is on 5:14, but his secondary marks aren't as good. So even if Ibanez hits that, that's fine. That's good news.
I mean, this is a do or die jump, and sometimes these are the most exciting jumps, because these are the jumps where you know everything is riding on it for her to get into that final. And sometimes it's actually just kind of fun to see what you can do in that position, and whether or not it works out, at least you know for next time, and you've been in that position before when it comes around again.
Well, Ibanez, it's a season's best, 5:10, but it's the end of the day for her.
So we roll across from the long jump, which we'll go back to shortly, for the first of 2 heats in the women's 400 metres T13, the least of the visual impairment categories. Tamara Duran, who we've seen already take a couple of golds here at these championships in the T12, which she's in now, has the championship record. Marla Runyan, way back in 1995 in Los Angeles with that world record. Talking about Americans, Erin Kirchhoff, who has taken bronze here already in the 200 metres. We'll go from lane 3. Just listen to that. Celia Turkey, her coach is Wilfred Krantz. 2 victories last year in Grand Prix events. Sasaki Mana of Japan will go in lane 5, who was 4th in 2019, just missing out in the medal in Tokyo. And the world champion, Rayan Suarez da Silva. Gold back in 2019, 24 years of age now. She'll go in lane 6. And Alice Mattei, the second of the French to go in this. 5th in Europeans in 2021 for Alice Mattei. Says she chose para-athletics because she loves the feeling of running fast. Can't argue with that. So the first 3 will qualify through to the final. The next 2 fastest after that, when we finish the second heat after this one, will advance as well. Kirchhoff in 3, Turkey in 4, Sasaki in 5, Suarez da Silva in 6, and Mattei in lane 7. And Suarez da Silva gets away very fast indeed there out of her blocks. Also doing well is Sasaki of Japan in lane 5. She's moved up quite nicely. She's keeping pace there with Suarez da Silva, so she's clearly got her in her sights and trying to make sure that she sticks with the reigning world champion, and she's doing just that at the moment. Looking good as well, Erin Kirchhoff. in lane 3 as they around the 200-metre mark. So they're halfway through this women's 400 metres T13, least of the visual impairment categories in the opening heat of 2. And Kirchhoff is looking very good at the moment. She's looking strong as they move around into that final 100 metres. It will be the first 3 who go 3 as it is at the moment. It's Erin Kirchhoff in first position, Suarez de Silva in second, and Sasaki of Japan. It looks like those 3 are going to be the automatic qualifiers. Suarez de Silva, as you would expect from the world champion, finishing strong, but it's Kirchhoff who's going to take it in a time of just over 1 minute. Second position, Suarez de Silva, and Sasaki of Japan takes that 3rd position. So Kirchhoff, Suarez de Silva, and Sasaki are the opening 3 that we're going to go through as definite qualifiers to the final. Great run from Erin Kirchhoff. 59.09 it's given in the end. 59.21 for Suarez de Silva, but a rather even race. And I did like the Japanese athlete Sasaki, how she just stayed with Suarez de Silva down that back straight and used her as a bit of a guide.
Well, that's the advantage. That's the advantage of getting one of the inside lanes drawn in a heat. Actually, if I was in a heat, I think I would want to be in Erin Kirchhoff's spot, because in this heat, again, you don't need to win it here. There are no medals at stake here. What's at stake is a spot in the final, and you want to end up at that final having expended as little energy as possible. So Erin Kirchhoff of the USA with that inside line, no matter what, you have to get out in a 400 meters. You can't start slowly, but once you're out, you can just keep a little sneaky eye on everybody else and just pace your effort and know whether or not you really have to give it. And Sasaki did well. She knew she was going to have to get out. Perhaps she wasn't quite sure the kind of competition she was going to face from Terki or Mate, and so she did run that hard, but very businesslike run there from Kirchhoff. She's done her job. She looked to be well within herself and has earned herself a spot in that final.
So Kirchhoff, Suarez de Silva, and Sasaki, the automatic qualifiers. Alice Mate of France has set a new lifetime best by 0.08 of a second, and Celia Terki in 5th position, 102.75. Well, the morning rolls on as we head back to the long jump.
Petra Lutheran in her championship debut. She's had an absolutely brilliant week.
I was excited to see her name on the start list because
me too.
I actually learned from you, Will, that she was a high jumper before her accident. And there are a lot of similarities between long jump and high jump in terms of you need to generate speed and then take off. And the actual takeoff action is quite similar. They're all just done at slightly different angles. And the challenge for her is that actually high jump isn't offered as an event for women. It is offered as a men's event, and we've seen some fantastic ones. But she's really had to not only deal with this challenging accident, but then transform herself into a different event athlete.
Petra Lutheran has just gone out to a lifetime best 5:23. She's in 7th position. She was a finalist in the World Junior Championships, and that's a new horizon for her. She's broken 5 meters. Certainly, she's definitely going to now be in the final 8. That was a survival jumper. Bjørk Nuramark of Denmark finds herself outside of the positions for the moment in the top 3, but that lifetime best of 5:35 in the opening round has a 5th for Denmark. She's a prime contender here. So has she any other lifetime best that she can squeeze out? It is her global championship debut. She was at the last Europeans in Bydgoszcz 2 years ago. Nuramark going for something big here if she can. Well, Denmark so far have managed to squeeze a silver out of their competition. It's knocking around 5 meters again.
What I'm also loving about this long jump competition is we're just getting to see so many different styles in terms of the in-air position at landing. We saw Rodriguez's Kung Fu style, as Will has aptly named it. And again, this one is a slightly more traditional one, but look, she gets that full hip extension, reaches all the way back, and then snatches her arms and legs forward. And again, when you get to this point in the jump, the only thing that matters is controlling the rotation, because if you rotate forward, which is how the jump is trying to send you, you lose distance. Great example on how to do that in a variety of ways.
5:17 for Nuramark, and she does not improve But she is having a great day of it. Just reaching the halfway stage of this competition, but there are now survival jumps coming. This is Augusta of Brazil, and she is the last to go. So she's on 5 meters, and she will be aware that 5:17 is the mark that Ability Udo is on in 8th place, and she only needs to get 5:17 because that 5-meter jump in terms of count back would put her through. It's Ability Udo with that excellent African record that has her in 8th place. So Augusto in 13th, this to stay in, to get 3 more jumps. It's very close to the plasticine. She might be okay. Fair jump.
It's a tough position to be in, knowing that in order to get into that top 8, you're essentially going to have to jump a personal best. So her personal best is 5:02, and in order for her to get into the top 8, she was going to have to jump 5:17. But again, this is one of those examples of you need to have experience and practice of being in those positions when you're under pressure and have to deliver, just so that you know when your moment comes again, you know the kind of things that you're thinking and what you're saying to yourself, and you just learn how to manage those emotions.
4:85. So Augusto finishes 13th in this long jump final, T47. And that's it. We'll reset. Udo will be the next to go in round 4. There'll be a slight break in this. And then we begin again. A new jumping order. But the track action continues in beautiful sunny Paris. I've seen in Espoo at the Euro Under-23s, they've had awful weather for a lot of it. I know there's been a music festival that was half rained off in Ireland. I think there was a bit of problem for Andy Bell last night, but as long as he gets a little respect, all is good. So this is the second heat of the women's 400 meters T13, and it's the first 3 to go through, plus the next 2 fastest. Big cheer incoming. It's the 2016 Paralympic 400 meters champion for France, Natatin Keita. In lane 4 for Uganda, 5th in the 1500 meters final here this week. It's Peace Aroma. In lane 5 for Portugal. Silver and bronze in the last 2 World Championships over 400. It's Carolina Duarte. In lane 6 for Azerbaijan, the reigning Paralympic 400 meters champion and the new 100 meters world champion, Lamea Valieva of Azerbaijan. In lane 7 for Costa Rica, 8th in the 100 meters final here. That's Melissa Calvo. And in lane 8 for Israel, it is a major championship debut for Simona Goran-Sztuk. 1:10 her lifetime best set this year. Keita on the inside, the former Paralympic champion, Valieva in 6, her successor. Carolina Duarte, silver and bronze in the last 2 worlds, will fancy her chances too. There's the top 3 to go through, plus the next 2, into the final of the women's 400 meters T13. So Keita, Arama, Duarte, Valieva, Calvo and Goran-Sztuk are the 6 in this, with the top 3 to qualify. It's a really good start by Valieva. Duarte moving up with her as well, so it's the perennial champions, and Keita too. So basically these 3 have all won the major medals in the last couple of championships. Arama's back a bit in 4th spot. It is the top 3 to go through. This is a big lead for Valieva at the moment. Keita, in terms of the stagger, is only a couple of meters behind. Duarte in 3rd spot. Aroma in 4th. Is not out of it yet. Aiming for a pretty fast time. Aiming for 1:02.61 at the moment. At least Matthijs is there in 4th place. But the lead is considerable for Valieva. Now as they straighten up, it's Duarte in second place, and it's Keita in third. Lamia Valieva, the reigning Paralympic champion, moving out in front to qualify, and Carolina Duarte will join her, 56.45, and Nanatin Keita's in the final as well, the champion from Rio 2016. 56.45 the winning time, which is considerably faster than the first heat, which was 59 and bits. But Valieva just looks to get better race by race by race. Season's best for her, 56.42. And that was comfortable. Duarte had it reasonably a simple trot as well. And Keita, frankly, didn't need to exert herself a lot too. It is a season's best in saying that, but Valieva, Duarte and Keita all progressing definitely.
Just a quick note for our eagle-eyed para fans. You would have seen the graphic at the beginning which said that the world record was held by Omara Durand. And this is a T13 category, and we now know we saw Omara last night in the T12 category, and that is correct. She started off as a T13 and her eyesight changed and so was reclassified as a T12. Now back to this race. Valieva, I mean, she set off with absolute intention. She set off like a rocket, had made up the stagger and had established her lead very well by that first bend, and as she came down we just started she just took a little sneaky look around, and at that point she knew, do you know what, I have this, I probably have it enough to shut down, and you can see it. Valieva's looking very smooth, but also Duarte. Duarte certainly did not overexert herself, and we'll be looking forward to seeing hopefully quite a tight final in that. But it really was just that roar from the French crowd as Keita came down and just took up that third qualification spot. And we've definitely already seen Keita throughout the week, but most notably in that opening ceremonies where she led the dance party for France.
She's loving it right now. Lamia Valieva, she qualifies for the final for Azerbaijan. 56.42. Duarte going through in second, Keita in third, and the final will also have a little piece. Aroma makes it as well. Entering the second half of the long jump now as well in this T47, the lead held spectacularly by Kira Rodriguez. Petra Lutheran in seventh spot. Thanks very much, by the way, to the Hungarian Association, the Hungarian Paralympic Committee that went through a bit of a life story with us, because she was in able-bodied athletics solely until a car crash in the United States last October. Thankfully, everybody survived. It has basically been a very quick recovery. She used athletics in her recovery from the accident. She's very welcome in the para-athletic sphere as well now. So the long-time high jumper is right now a long jumper. Lifetime best in round 3, 5:23.
I think the best thing about this long jump so far is just the number of PBs, area records, world records that we can see. And really, it was Rodriguez who lit up this competition in the third round with that 6:23. And that's what can sometimes happen. Once somebody does something big, it usually splits the field into those that get excited by it and want to step up, and then those that can perhaps sometimes, it can put them off, make them feel a little bit nervous. But so great to see in this field, everybody is PBing across the board.
That is the second best jump of her career. Lutheran, 5:13, who's been on the NCAA circuit. She was, I think it was a Big Ten conference silver medalist, and Big Ten is a big deal there as part of the NCAA system. Lutheran in 7th spot. Her other half is a US athlete as well, of decent quality. Now, Aliana Lanza, second and third attempts she missed. Thankfully for her, the pressure was off at that stage as she got 5:25. But now different pressure, as she needs a longer jump of at least 40 centimeters to get up into the medals here. This is one of her best jumps of the season. It's worth saying that 5:25. So looking to get the rhythm right. Well, she's plumb on the board there. But it is a red flag, I fear to say. She just crept in, and that's 3 misses in a row, but she stays in 6th place.
Oh, I'm sorry for those that heard my groan. I forgot my microphone was on. I'm so gutted for her because we're looking right now. Yes, she's had those 2 fouls, and it just doesn't show how well she's jumping. Her runway right now is looking spectacular, and the distance she's getting into the pit from our eye looks good. But the big thing in long jump, you could just see her, aggressively tap down on that rail. She knows she's jumping big, but you just don't get credit for it unless you jump from behind that board.
Well, she stays in 6th position. Now, Björk Nurmark, we have seen her in a championship before, actually on the track in the 100 meters. She went out in the semi-finals in Bydgoszcz a couple of years ago. She's in the long jump now, and she is right now the leading European. We're awaiting news of when the next European Championships will be, by the way. They're usually every 2 years. It was supposed to be 2020 in Bydgoszcz, but COVID pushed that to 2021. And the calendar is still affected by that in so many sports across the world. So Björk Nurmark is in 5th place, a lifetime best of 5:35. Wonder if she can pull out another rabbit out of the hat. That is a red flag, I fear to say, to match her singlet.
2 things can happen when you find yourself in this position in a long jump competition. She's already had a PB, which is a great result from her. And so you can have one conversation in your head that's saying, do you know what, that's pretty good. That's not bad for World Championship. Then you can have another conversation that says, actually, I'm feeling quite greedy and I want more. And that's exactly what she's doing. That sometimes you get a few of those fouls when you've chosen for the latter half of your competition to set up a really aggressive run, and that's a chance that you take. If you want to jump big, you are running that knife edge between fouling and getting another jump of your life.
Well, the women's long jump T47 final will continue, but it's time to move back to the track, and this time we've done the 400s. It's now the men's 800 metres T34, the opening round. The 3 fastest will go through. The 2 best times will follow after that from the 2 heats. Gong Wen Hao will go from lane 3. 24 years of age at his first major championships. Another athlete at his first major championships, Roberto Michel of Mauritius. Haven't they been having a great time? This man was 4th in the 100 metres here at these championships. Reigning world champion Mohammed Al Hamadi of the UAE will go in lane 5. Silver here in the 400 metres he's taken already. Wale Katila, he finished 4th in the 400 metres despite being the reigning world champion out of the medals, and he took bronze in the 100, somewhat of a surprise as well. He'll go in lane 6. In lane 7, Ali Radi Ashid, gold at the World Para-Athletics Grand Prix in Tunisia earlier this year in the 400, first major championship. And Henry Mani from Finland, bronze back in 2015, will go in lane 8. The world record holder, Ratana, will go in the 2nd heat. Mohammed Al Hamadi with that season best time there of 1:37.27, the world champion, who'll go in lane 5. So the opening heat in the men's 800 metres T34 is underway. And getting out fast already is Mohammed Al Hamadi, who is really roaring out from lane 3. They will get going as they move around that back straight, and then they'll move in towards the inside lane. When they get to the marker, they get to the 200 metre mark with 1 lap to go. You can see there the man who is a perennial medalist, Wale Katila, who hasn't done the greatest at these championships, just cutting across and sitting a couple out on the outside there. And Gong Wen Hao, who leads as they head into the last 100 metres before they take the bell. Gong looking pretty good, and Wally Katila will want to improve on his championship so far, Steph.
Yeah, it's interesting there. I think Katila really wanted that inside lane. The problem is Gong started on the inside, which meant he had the advantage. He already had the inside track. Waleed had to come all the way over, and Waleed, he's a seasoned racer. He knew that there was no chance of him getting in the pack. He needed to give himself room, and right now he is making his move to challenge for that top spot and make sure he stays in those top 3 qualifying spots.
Yeah, quite rightly, the top 3 will go through. Al Hamadi, the world champion, is sitting there ominously as well. He's now moved up into 3rd position. It is just the top 3 that go through. Katila, Gong and Al Hamadi at the moment in that order is how we are looking. But also working up there is Roberta Michel of Mauritius. And Mauritius have had a wonderful World Paralympics champions. Roberta Michel is doing his best to hold on there. He might well try and get Gong, but coming through in first place at the moment, it's Katila and Al Hamadi, and Gong takes 3rd. So they are the 3 automatics that go through. Roberta Michel in 4th position will hope to go through as one of those next 2 fastest qualifiers to advance into the final. But a wonderfully worked race from Wally Katila. Gong out in front there for a long period of time, the 24-year-old, his first major championships, and they have a lot of experience to call on the Chinese. There's a big band of World Championship medalists that Gong can ask advice to. Katila and Al Hamadi having a chat there. I think Al Hamadi's just maybe asking about, well, I saw you try to get across to the inside. I was trying to follow you. Why couldn't you get there earlier?
It is so fun to watch the communication that happens on the track. Often during the race, you'll see them talking to each other. Now, as I said, Gong had the advantage in this case because he was on the inside. In the 800 meters, they all start in their own lane, and as they come around the corner, there is a mark at which you can then come over, and you can see Waleed, he kind of wants to come over, but there's no room. Gong is there, and the chairs are considered parts of their body. There are officials that are watching, and you can get a disqualification for impeding someone else's race. So what Waleed Katila did is he wanted to stay in a safe position because the 800 meters it's too short in the fact that if you find yourself out of position, you're a problem. Now, here's where it got really interesting. Now, both Al Hamadi and Mikel, they had to make a choice as to who they thought was going to sprint the fastest. It was Al Hamadi who made the right choice. He was behind the right person, and unfortunately, Mikel got caught. He was behind Gong when the sprint came on, and he just simply couldn't get round, and now he's having to wait for that final qualification spot.
Well, I can't tell you, Wally Katila has broken the championship record with that at the end. It didn't appear to be as quick as it actually was, and he's broken that mark of Mohammed Al Hamadi by a couple of seconds. Now, Al Hamadi himself would have been inside that mark. Also, the next 2 after that, Gong and Roberta Michel would have been inside that mark as well. So 4 who would have been inside the championship record. It goes to Wally Katila. It goes through to the final, as does Al Hamadi, and Gong went her lifetime best for Rashid of Qatar in 5th.
Rodriguez, 4th attempt long jump. Her last one was a world record, 6:23. Here she comes again. Serious effort this. Serious talent from the Ecuadorian on her way, potentially, surely, to being the world champion. Grimaldi 5:91, equaling a lifetime best in 2nd. Talea Williams in 3rd on 5:65. The top 5 and 7 of the top 8. So 7 of the 8 left a lifetime best, but this is the ultimate lifetime best.
I mean, that was another amazing jump from Rodriguez. And what's scary is that, yes, world records happen sometimes as a one-off in fantastic competitions, and we haven't seen the mark yet. But that was within about the same range. And to be able to do that with consistency signifies that you can, in the near future, go further than that.
Excellent effort. That was 5:95. And that in itself, 5:96 actually, that would have been good enough to lead in its own right. She's having some morning. That would have been a lifetime best had it not been for her previous effort, which was the world record.
And bearing in mind, that world record has stood since 2013, over a decade. We rarely see world records that last that long in this sport, and it just shows how far 6:23 is. Up until this point, we've only ever had one female in this category above 6 meters, 6:01, and she has just gone out to 6:23.
Ability Udo of Nigeria, who's already with this technique, which is unique in its own right, had an African record.
I was just going to say, if there was a world record for, I think her run-up is about 8 strides, she'd be pretty close. The speed she is generating off such a short runway. And again, I think it usually is just a sign that she's quite new to the event, and it just means that you take off at a speed that you can control, but think what's going to happen when that runway moves back.
Didn't improve. This is an electric contest for sure. 5:17, her best. That's just shy of 5 meters, I can tell you. But she is one of those that's had a lifetime best. Lanza's the only one not to, and she's not that far off it. Lanza goes 5:36, that's a lifetime best. Look at that wonderful set of marks.
And I suspect actually Lanza has gone past that. Sadly, it's just been so many fouls. I just hope we get to see what she can do in these final rounds.
Well, we return to Petra Lutheran for Hungary. And because she's been reasonably well known in the athletic circuit, I've got no doubt that she's generated a few new para-athletics fans of her own this week. She's had a really, really good competition, and she's been striking a lot of lifetime bests. That's close towards another one. It's 5:23.
It's been really great just in this competition to see the range of events that she's entered, and as we said, she was previously a high jumper, and unfortunately high jump isn't offered in actually isn't a high jump category for women, and so she's really had to transform herself. And sprinting is a great choice because you need a lot of speed as a high jumper, which we sometimes forget because you're running on a curve, and the takeoff for long jump is quite similar, again just different vectors. She didn't improve on that jump. She still sits in 7th with her personal best of 5:23, but the most important thing is just that this first experience at these games has been a positive one and a learning experience, and perhaps she will choose her favorite event and start specializing in that one.
You just realized, talking through a lot of the stories of so many athletes this week, we just all love to sit down for a couple of hours and just hear all about it from them, which is impossible. Lanza, 5:25. She's only had 1 mark so far. The rest have been fouls, and we don't need to update that line, I'm afraid. 4 in a row now for Angelina Lanza. Just clear, and it's a pity because, you know, but for the fouls, the leaps have been good.
I mean, my long jumper's heart really feels that one. There's nothing more internally frustrating than when you're in a competition and you're running well and your runway is just not working for you on that day. And some people will look at this and think, well, why doesn't she just jump behind the board? Believe me, she's trying. It's not quite that simple. It is so hard to be precise at top speed.
Well, on we go. Life comes at you fast. Men's 800 meters T34. This is the second of the 2 heats. They are semi-finals. Top 3 to go through to the final, plus the next 2. So in lane 3, we've seen him in the 100 and the 400. He's not progressed so far in his championship day with the 20-year-old Ahmed Nawad. In lane 4 for China, 5th in the 100 meters here, Wang Yang. In lane for Canada, silver in the 100 this week at these World Championships, and bronze in the 4, it is Austin Smeek. In lane 6 for Thailand, he's won the 100, he's won the 400 of these World Championships, going for the hat-trick, Chaiwat Ratana, the new sensation of the T34. And in lane 7 for Australia, he's finished 8th in the 100 and the 400 finals here this week. It's Reid McCracken. He's gone out to 141 this year, so Smeek with the silver and the bronze in 5, Ratana with the 2 golds in lane 6. And we will see the top 3 again in the final. McCracken has reached every final so far. It's Nawad, Wang, Smink, Ratana and McCracken from 3 to 5. And it's a really good start by Ratana. He is flying clear again. He's looked so good to win his first major championship medals here, to deny Wally Katila, the perennial champion, any gold medal glory at all. And even Al-Hamidi, who sometimes pops up for an occasional gold, has not been able to whisk them this time. It's a 100% record for Ratana, and he is still out in front. He and Smeek have moved up, and McCracken as well for Australia. Coming into the closing straight for the penultimate time, bunched up a little bit. Ratana still leading them out, ahead of Austin Speak. A little bit of a move maybe being attempted on the outside by Wang Yang, but as they hit the bell, Ratana, Speak, McCracken, the 1, 2, 3.
Okay, this is dangerous now, and both Austin Speak and McCracken need to be careful because they well, as you can see, the Chinese athlete Wang is currently blocking them in. Ratana started that race like a 100-meter start. You could see his front wheel popping a little bit because he wanted to get out and get that inside line. Austin Smink tried to stay up with him, but then seemed fairly happy just to sit into his draft, and we can see why. Right now, Ratana is taking him with him into one of those top 3 qualifying spots. Smink has called that race perfectly. He's sitting behind Ratana because it means he gets a little bit of energy saving, but we saw that move that Wang did to just edge out McCracken, and unfortunately that is how those qualification spots are going to go.
Yeah, Ratana and Speak takes it, and it will be Wang in 3rd place, and it just evaporated a bit in the end. There may still be a chance in terms of the qualifying. That he'll have to wait on a few seconds, but Ratana wins this 1:37.88. That is a massive championship record, smashing what we saw from Katila previously, as Williams goes in the long jump, currently lying in the bronze medal position.
Well, the 800 metres have been deceiving to the eye. They haven't looked that quick, but those records they're breaking there, quite something. Records in the pit as well. Talia Williams, the American.
So sitting in
3rd position. The lifetime best with that 3rd jump of 5.65. But what does she need to do, Steph?
Well, sitting in that 3rd medal position, it's not comfortable yet. She hasn't quite consolidated her position because there still is a final round. She has about a 20-centimeter buffer.
Right back to the 800 meters, and that was so fast. There's a good chance they're all going to go through. Remember, the championship record had been set by Wally Katila just a couple of minutes earlier, breaking the mark of Al-Hamidi from 4 years ago. One of those rare gold medals for him. But Ratana, well, he now has 2. I think that's equal all time. Maybe Al-Hamidi has 3 all time in the World Championships. But Watana's championship debut has been sensational.
You could see his intention from the start. He wanted to have that inside line, and Austin Smink read that race perfectly. He's been aware all week of how quick Ratana was, and he aligned himself right behind him, knowing that is exactly who's going to take him to that 2nd qualification spot. Very, very clever race from Smink.
It's not very often.
It's an America's record as well.
It's not very often you and I miss out on championship records, and when we watch races and we're not sure what's coming up, but those 2 just crept up. It was almost like they weren't actually moving too fast. Championship record in the 1st, championship record in the 2nd, by 5 seconds in the 2nd as well.
Well, it's Ratana who takes it, and the championship record is his for Thailand, 1:37.88. Here's the world record holder as well. Smink through as well in 2nd. But here comes Anna Grimaldi in the long jump. Lifetime best she's already secured previously in this competition. She's in the silver medal position. Oh, that is huge. That is huge. That looks special in its own right, potentially, from Anna Grimaldi. Well, 5.91 she's done in the 2nd round. And my long-standing colleague, oh, she loves it. She absolutely loves that. And why not? That looks like the jump of her life. 5.96 is a lifetime best again. And look at those marks. she's in the silver medal position. Well, I know our good friend Steve Robiliad has been doing all the field events of the last 2 Paralympic Games and who's done the World Championships previously. He did this job in 2011 in Christchurch. Always loved her technique. She's still really young, Grimaldi, that's worth pointing out. Rodriguez is even younger. She's 20 years old. Right now, she's the best, the longest we've seen. That's a massive jump again. That is a red flag, though, this time.
Well, we certainly know that Rodriguez is in her groove, and I so wish we could have seen what that one was. But how impressive was that from Anna Grimaldi to be able to respond to a world record? And even though she didn't beat the world record, she still got a personal best. That is a sign of a champion. And we always knew we were going to have this amazing tussle between Rodriguez and Grimaldi. And there is still one more round left. Everything can change in the final round.
This is another classic long jump, and you just think at the end of each one, well, we've seen it all. We cannot see anything as good as this again, and it's just happening. Obviously, that's an America's record as well for Rodriguez.
We say that every championships. We can't see anything as good as this again. It just keeps on coming each time.
Currently in the bronze medal position is Talia Williams. Lifetime best for her as well of 5:65. And I know a lot of you will be very new to international para-athletics. Quite a lot of these athletes are so good. They are an international competition, what we used to call IAAF competition. I remember, I think it was Matzinger. It was a 400, 800 runner for Austria. Well, still would be. As we see ability again. She always catches us out with those long runs. She was in the European, he was in the European Team Championship, should I say, Matzinger. Their best 400, 800 meter runner in the country, full stop, across the entire population. So he was always in European Championships for them. If I remember, Austria won the gold in the European teams in 2015, which doubled as the European Games athletics. So it was 20,000 a day at Baku at the Olympic Stadium there. I mean, ability is, well, that's what she's showing.
But again, that in-air position and the way typically you would windmill both arms around, sometimes one after the other, sometimes both at the same time. So to be able to maintain your balance in the air and not over-rotate using just one arm, I cannot overemphasize how strong your core and the rest of your body has to be. Somewhere in your body has to pick up the work of that arm, and it's just amazing how our bodies will develop and just accommodate whatever we want to do.
Well, Anna Grimaldi, who's been the Paralympic champion at the last 2 games, silver at the last World Championships, finds herself in second again here, and bronze in the 100 meters here. Petra Lutheran. It has been a real pleasure to watch her competing this week, and she's been in this sport for 9 months, this side of the sport for 9 months, and she's going to get better. .523. She's used the board really well. It's heading out towards 5 meters again. Her best attempt was in round 3. She had another 5 meter mark in 5:13. She came into this a 5:06 jumper. I can only presume that the long jump is a new innovation for her. And yet, she's pulling off some really good results, and she's in the top 8 in the world right now in this.
Well, the good news is that the high jump will certainly give you a great foundation for the long jump. And I mean, you can certainly see the height that she is getting off the board. And the difference is simply just a matter of vectors. And long jump, you want to take off at a slightly different trajectory, just trying to balance that speed with that distance. And we can see really, she's almost on the board, and she is losing a little bit of distance. To be honest, that jump probably would have been up near her third round jump, and so a great show of consistency, and what a fantastic debut for her in this event.
Well, Angelina Lanza, she has her fans, and lots of them inside the Stade Charlotte. 5:25 in the opening round has her in 6th place. Ironically, if she'd equaled a lifetime best, she'd still be in 6th place. So she needs to improve on it to get into the top 5. One of the greats. She was one of those who was used. That's a red flag. She's one of those, if I recall, who was on the poster for the 2013 World Championships in Lyon, along with Marie-Amélie Lefebvre. Oh, just crept over into the plasticine, and that will happen. So 6 attempts, 5 fouls. The first was her best, and the 5 was one of the best leaps of her career. And I'm afraid our coach has been leaping a bit as well all day, but look, she's still in the back 6, the top 6 in the world. It's a nice primer ahead of the Paralympic Games next year.
I think it's great sometimes to see the emotions of the coach, because it very much is a team, and he's living those jumps with her. And his frustration is just that she jumped so well today. She was fast on the runway. She was jumping far, but unfortunately you don't get credit for it if you step on the red part of that board.
So Björk Nurmark, who actually did finish in 11th place in the Paralympic Games. But this is her World Championship debut. She competed in that at the age of 18. Here she is now, still 20, top 5 in the world. Can she go a little bit higher? So she's 5:35, Garcia 5:45, and in third is Williams 5:65. And the amount of entrants that Denmark bring in, keeping to increasing all the time. So maybe there'll be one day that we'll even see Denmark in the universal relay. She was coming into this as a 5:26 jumper in her entire career. She produced 4:77 a couple of years ago in the Paralympic Games. Today has been, well, the jump of her life, literally, in competition.
I don't think you can get much more perfect on the board from that. Again, any little indentation in that plasticine is a foul. Perfect on her last jump.
So Nurmark in 5th place, the ever-improving Dane. And we have 4 left to go. This is Paula Garcia, so a lifetime best of 5:45. It's a lifetime best in the first round. Can she get another one right at the end? She's given it a really good tilt. She's a 5:44 jumper previously. She added 1 centimetre to it. She's another coming force. Of that, there is no doubt. But it is 4th place for Garcia. We know who the top 3 are going to be, and 2 of them were in the medals at the Pan Am Games in Lima last time out. She's given this a good whirl. There's no doubt about that, Paula Garcia.
Now, Garcia was the last jumper that could have come in to mix up those medal placings, and there probably would have been a bit of a collective sigh of relief. The top 3 now know that they have those medals, and it is simply a matter of what color they will be.
Well, I should say Garcia at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo finished in 12th place, which was one behind Nurmark. This is an improvement, being 4th in the world here. Now, Talea Williams, the former long jump world champion in London in 2017. What an honour that would have been in front of that crowd. Pan Am silver medalist behind our leader here, Chiara Rodriguez. And a chance to twist again in Santiago in November at the Pan Am Games. So 5:65. That lifetime best for this bronze medal. So she's gone further here than she did to win gold in London. And this here, a brilliant atmosphere all week. They have loved the long jump here. And that's a red flag. Well, she didn't love that, bookended by no jumps, but it's been a really positive week for Talia Williams for the United States, and she picks up a bronze medal for them, 5.65, her best.
Well, when you're sitting third in the final round, there's nothing to lose. You may as well go for it. And sometimes a coach will set you up with quite an aggressive runway, and the foul is always the risk. But as I've said before, you are constantly living on a knife edge when it comes to the long jump, and you are trying to take off at max speed and yet be precise.
So she finished 4th in the Paralympics, and it's bronze at the Worlds.
So now we have the universal 4x100 metres relay, the opening round. There will be 2 to go in this. United States of America hold the world record that's set in Tokyo at the Paralympic Games, and China, the championship record set in Dubai in 2019. Now, relatively recent over the past few years, this hasn't been around for more than 5 years, and I can only describe it as organised chaos. So this is what happens. We start off with the visually impaired category, T11s to 13s. We then move to the amputee categories, the T45 to 47 or 61 to 64. 35s to 38s are then third, which is the coordination impairment and wheelchair category last up, 51 to 54. So United States go first. Noah Malone will go for the United States. Hunter Woodhall will go second for the United States after the visually impaired Noah Malone. Woodhall, T62. Jaylene Roberts third, and Tatiana McFadden will go fourth, bringing home the baton for the United States of America. Zhu Gua, Wang Wenjian and Hu Yang for China will go in lane 3. Andreas Volzer, Noah Bedelia and Friedrich Brosser and Merle Marie Menya will finish off for Germany. Menya, a T54 athlete. She was 5th in that 400 metres here already at these championships. And for Brazil, Dos Santos will go out first, the complete visual impairment athlete. Fernanda Yara da Silva second. Ricardo Gomez, who's won a gold here, there he is, will go third. And the anchor will be Arisvaldo Fernandez, who's won bronze here in the 100 metres in the T53. So it is only the first who goes through to the final, which will be this evening, and the next 2 fastest from both the heats will advance through after that. So Malone for the USA, Zhu for China, Volzer for Germany, Dos Santos for Brazil, leading them out. And do not be surprised if we see at least a championship record in either of these heats, if not both. So the tether just being set. Just remember there are T12s and T11s. There are some with guides and some without. 2 with the guides, 2 without guides. Zhu is going with the guide, as is Dos Santos, the T11 on the outside. And they do get away, and Noah Malone's gone away very fast on the inside. It is Noah Malone who is moving fast down the back straight. He's handed it off to Hunter Woodhall, and Woodhall is really stretching out. It's Bedelia, the T64 athlete for Germany, but it's the USA who are looking real strong at the moment. It's then handed off to Jaylene Roberts, who took silver in the 100 metres earlier in these championships. Roberts is going to hand it off to Tatiana McFadden. Now this is where it's going to get interesting. McFadden has quite some distance in front. She gets there just in time to McFadden before that changeover area. So McFadden, going down that home straight, is leading at the moment, but it is China who are whisking down the outside. But Tatiana McFadden, she's slowed down, she takes it. It's the Chinese athlete Hu Yang who gets there, the bronze in the 100 metres for the Chinese in T54, who takes second. Well, you heard a couple of noises at the beginning there. It almost sounded like it was a false start, but the athletes kept on going. They weren't called back, and they continued round the whole way. 46.78 the time, given just outside the championship record set by the Chinese in Dubai back in 2019. Well, that was interesting, wasn't it?
Oh, these are always so exciting. Now, if you have never watched a universal relay before, you probably have a lot of questions. So I'm going to start just by trying to answer a few of them. First of all, you might be wondering why there is no baton in this race, and it's for two reasons. The first being that we do have athletes with a visual impairment in this race, so that can make the handoffs difficult. When it comes to the amputee section, some of the amputees don't have arms. So again, you can't pass a baton, and then also with the wheelchair racers, they're too busy pushing their wheels to bother with a baton. Now you can see there the other important reason why they're assigned 2 lanes. If you can imagine a runner coming in and trying to tag the wheelchair racer, that can get pretty messy and run in 1 lane. So for a variety of reasons, there's 2. And then the final thing I'm going to leave you with right now is there are officials all throughout this track, and they're watching for a few very important things. One of them being that as you touch the other athlete, it has to be deemed to be a touch, not a push. So if Javelin, for example, came in there and gave Tatiana a huge push, that would be called a disqualification. But it looks like we've got a bit of an injury at the side.
Yeah, it does look like there's an injury. It's Noah Malone who's there. But I'll tell you what, that last changeover for McFadden was about 3 millimetres inside the line before it was a disqualification. Anyway, the judges have okayed it. They qualify with a season best for obvious reasons, because this is the first time. China in 2nd position, Brazil 3rd, and Germany going through in 4th. It was just outside the championship record set in November of 2019.
Just a note on those takeover zones. One of the other differences in this relay is that for the 1st and 2nd exchange zone, the zone is 30 meters, and for the 3rd takeover zone, it's 40. And again, there are chief umpires stationed at every zone, because you can imagine there is so much going on to look for, and they're in radio contact with each other and with the start umpire, just trying to somehow manage all the chaos.
Well, Noah Malone got off to it was a blistering start, wasn't it? Yeah, you have to admit there, it was so quick. We have to also say as well, by the way, that there's 2 female and 2 male that go in that universal relay.
Chiara Rodriguez has decided to skip her final attempt. Anna Grimaldi fouling in the last round. So the Pan Am champion is now the world champion in the long jump, as well as the 100, and a world record as well for Chiara Rodriguez. Only the 2nd woman ever in history in this ambulance category to go beyond 6 meters. Chiara Rodriguez, the gold, 6:23, the world record. Anna Grimaldi, the Paralympic champion, with silver for New Zealand, lifetime best of 5:96. And Talea Williams of the United States, the former world champion, lifetime best with the bronze, 5:65. And again, 7 of the top 8 with lifetime bests in that. Ability Udo with the African record in 8th. The world record for Chiara Rodriguez. It was a moment of absolute sheer athleticism and just beauty.
I have loved watching Rodriguez jump. We've been talking so much about her speed on the runway and her technique in the air, and I'm going to stop calling it unusual, because actually it makes perfect sense. It works in the air. It is exactly what you want to do when you can't use that right arm to windmill rounds. And I'm just going to stick with Will's naming of it as the Kung Fu style, and you can see that world record mark just there, and she certainly went beyond that. So what she's doing in the air there is kicking that leg forward, and she is just twisting her body. That is how she makes sure that she keeps that center of mass pushing forward and doesn't lean back into that jump, maximizing her distance on that landing.
An absolutely superb attempt, and she is having a week to remember, having claimed the 100 and the long jump as well. And because she's broken the world record, that means, of course, her name is up in lights for very, very special reasons. She is a very, very special athlete to watch. And she's not done yet for the year. The Pan Am Championships, the Para Pan Ams in Santiago in November. Worth watching out for. Worth watching. And she has absolutely burst through, particularly in these championships, to absolutely thrill the crowd. They loved the long jump, particularly this week. Spectacular across the board, yes, but they've been so close to the long jump down here in the on the home straight. That's been a great atmosphere.
Yeah, the umbrellas you saw up a moment ago are not for the rain. It's just rather hot. You can see the haze in the foreground of that picture there. Conditions have warmed up. Steph Reed's Canadian colleagues here.
Oh, actually, so what you have there on the right, just wiping her eye now with her glasses, they are watching their daughter, Marissa Papakonstantinou, who is going to be on the second leg of this relay. So there is lots of interest there. It's very stressful as a parent, I think, watching your daughter.
Jesse Zeziu there on the left as well, the discus thrower who went a little earlier in his first major championship. So he gets an opportunity now to actually enjoy the sunshine and watch on from the side. There he is.
Oh, it's a great week.
In the red there, that's Renee Fossil, who was a thrower, and I believe also one of the captains of Team Canada. They're doing captain's duties, cheering on loud for this universal relay. We love a bit of crowd spotting, don't we?
Well, we do, yes. USA
Plenty
beat
of new faces in the crowd as well, aren't there? New names that we've conjured up with this week.
Youngsters enjoying themselves. A bit of music, a bit of sunshine. No school. For those who are slightly older than that young girl. But whichever way you look at it, it's fun all round. It's the penultimate day of the championships. We've only got half of this session finishes. With one race left, we'll have 3 sessions remaining. It's all coming towards an end, but I tell you, it has been a wonderful view. Just like that gentleman has there. Stranger Things. I've never watched that.
Well, yeah, Celia Turkey, who we've already seen in competition. She's still in a singlet. She's not competing in this universal relay. There's the second semi-final coming.
There's a lot of anticipation for this relay, just because it's unique in so many ways. It's unique in that it's a mixture of disabilities. In the past, they've had wheelchair relays, they've had amputee relays, but not only is this a mix of categories, it's a mix of genders. So you have to have 2 men and 2 women, and on some legs you'll find yourself, like actually Marissa Papakonstantinou is going to find up against 3 other men, and that's why we can have all sorts of different changes of lead at any point in the race, and it is just so exciting. People are so intrigued by this relay.
It's actually a wonderful relay race. Now, I know I said it was organised chaos before, because it pretty much is. It pretty much is. But it is really enjoyable to watch, and it makes it a lot simpler as a commentator when a team is way out in front. I can tell you right now, when there's 2 and 3 teams battling for a medal, it becomes tough.
Now, can I just tell you, by the way, I won't, because we're about to start. I'll leave that a few years. So this is the second heat. So we've got 4 in this, and it's 4 different categories. We'll start off with Great Britain. Zach Shaw, bronze in the 100. Johnny Peacock, 5th in the 1, but he was the Paralympic hero once upon a time. We're watching Japan. France and Canada in this as well. France with Mandy Francois-Elise, Julian Castley, who've been major championship medalists previously. So 4 different disciplines. You have to have a visual impairment athlete, you have to have a coordination impairment athlete, an athlete with an amputee, an amputation, and also a wheelchair athlete. Actually, what Great Britain have done is they've got two athletes in the 30s, in Sophie Hahn and then Hannah Cockcroft in the wheelchair. And there is Sophie Hahn. Well, she said she fell out of love with athletics for a little bit, and she's fallen back in love with it this week. Bronze in the 100 and the 200. It's been great to see her back. And just as I was saying about Vanessa Lowe earlier, it's not always about the gold medals, because the bronzes that she's got this week, she has been really cherishing. She's been a wonderful champion for time and again. Well, 3 of the 4 for Great Britain have won medals. The only one who hasn't won a medal is Johnny Peacock. He's won a lot in his career. So Great Britain are on the inside in lane 1. They'll start off with Zach Shaw, bronze in the 100 metres. Then to Johnny Peacock, 5th in the 1. Sophie Hahn, bronzes in the 1 and 2. And then Hannah Cockcroft, gold in the 100 in their various disciplines. Peacock, such a hero in London. Hahn too. And Hannah Cockcroft was as big a star that month as you could get, that year. Lane 3 for Japan. It's Oran Sawada, bronze in the long jump. Yaya Zumbonshi will go 2nd. Yuka Tamatsu's going 3rd. And Tomoki Okuma's on the anchor leg. Sawada, the only medalist of the 4 this week. So now for France. So starting off will be Tiffany Logette-Lodz, T11. Complete visual impairment. Then it'll be Kevin de Witas-Tazy, who's a T47. Mandy France was Aliyah 37, a previous Paralympic champion, and Julien Casselli in the T54. He'll be speeding along. And now Canada, medalists across the board. Starting off with the 200 silver medalists. Bronze in the 1, Bianca Borgella. Then bronze in the 100 metres for Marissa Papakonstantinou. Silver in the 4 for Zach Gingras. And then to wrap up, silver in the 1, bronze in the 4, Austin Smeek. And we've already seen him this morning. This is going to be fun. 4x100 metres, universal relay, only the winner guaranteed to go through. Keep watching. There was a relay in the under-23s, the Europeans in Finland yesterday, where Netherlands and Belgium both crashed out within a second of each other. Fun of the relays. We're about to have ours. Great Britain 1, Japan 3, France 5, Canada 7. So they're away at the first time of asking, and it's a really decent start by Zach Shaw, who is the only man starting here, so Great Britain should have a bit of an advantage. Zach Shaw to Johnny Peacock for Great Britain. Borgella to Papakonstantinou for Canada. Zumbonshi taken up for Japan. Duites for France. Johnny Peacock's flying for Great Britain right now. Passing on to Sophie Hahn with a plethora of golds in her career and a couple of bronzes this week. Great Britain are way out in front. It's going to be Zach Gingras taking up for Canada. The 2 women finishing up for Great Britain. It's Hahn to Cockcroft. 2 brilliant athletes to wrap up. Hannah Cockcroft has won gold this week. Ikoma trying to reel her in for Japan. And Austin Smeek for Canada. But Cockcroft comes through first for Great Britain, who will be in the final. Canada in 2nd and Japan in 3rd will have to wait. And France with Casselli coming in 4th spot. Well, that's a job well done. Hannah Cockcroft bringing them in, and it was Hannah Cockcroft against 3 men as well who were fighting to overtake her, and she held them all off. That was a good job. That was a European record too for Great Britain, 47.17.
You could see from the Great British team there, what they had, I think above all the other teams, were just really, really fantastic exchanges. And Johnny really did run a storming bend down that back straight. But Canada had such a great team on paper, and I just wondered, there just wasn't the quickest exchange on the second exchange, and we'll perhaps see that as the race goes on. But one of the things to watch out on this next replay, I'm just going to seed it for you. Have a look at the exchange zones and just imagine, we already know, I mean, you spoke about people crashing out in able-bodied relays a moment ago. The thing that you have with this race is that because we have athletes of different genders and in different categories, they are coming in and they're exiting at speeds that don't match. And so just imagine how difficult it is to time that up, particularly when you have men coming in at top speed up to women, and just the amount of practice and precision that you have to have. You can see again, this is why we have 2 lanes, because it just gives you that little bit of wiggle room. We see Marissa Papakonstantinou on the left there, just trying to take on Johnny. And this is when I thought, you know, perhaps you can see that Gingras there, he wasn't up to top speed and he did most of the acceleration after it. And then again, totally different acceleration profiles when it comes to an ambulant runner versus a wheelchair racer. And Sophie Hahn and Hannah Cockcroft timed that so well. Again, Sophie Hahn, she cannot push Hannah. She has to simply touch her. And then just watching Hannah power down, knowing that she had 2 athletes chasing down behind her. But how great was Austin Smink to fight for that second qualifying spot, knowing what was at stake.
You have to be careful as well, I guess, when you're coming up next to an amputee athlete, that you make sure you don't catch their blade as they're taking off, but also the wheelchair athlete, when you're coming up to tag there like Sophie Hahn did, to make sure that you don't get too close to them, to their wheel actually gets you on your leg and takes you down as well.
And imagine if it was a tall athlete coming into a wheelchair athlete, you've almost got to bend down for a bit. But I watched this event and I just think, imagine the spreadsheet that a coach has to go through to lay out all the parameters, all the speeds, and figure out what the fastest team is.
European record for Great Britain. They're in the final. Canada and Japan will be as well. France miss out in 4th place. They were the only side who didn't have a medal between them so far this week. Canada all did. Great Britain 3 out of 4. But Great Britain, new European record, 47.17. You just look at the names. Shaw, Peacock, Hahn, Cockcroft. That sounds like a winning team right there. So yeah, relays are quite chaotic, certainly. Well, that one went quite well. I remember doing the European Games very briefly in Minsk 4 years ago. They had this new thing called Dynamic New Athletics, which was a team event, and they had a relay at the end. They had their 4 athletes nominated, and they could change the order on the fly, on a whim, during the race.
Sounds like a
helpful.
blast.
Thank you. That's a great idea.
Suspect that disappeared as quick as it came in.
Men's javelin won by Melanis Stefanidakis, the former Paralympic champion, 29.17. Kukran gets the silver, and Shamali 3rd for India.
Men's discus throw F37, the European champion, Mikola Zabniak, becomes the world champion with a season best. Guy Henley of Australia picks up the silver, and it's Teixeira, the former world champion, who this time has to settle for a bronze medal. Season best and personal best, no marks though from Jesse Seziu in his opening major championship, the same with Dundas of Lithuania.
Women's shot put, Asuntala Nyante does it again. The perennial champion, I made that a 6th world championship gold, the former European indoor champion, 15.55 for Italy, and Birkanova in Uzbekistan's best championships ever. That's official now. She picks up the silver medal.
Winners long jump T47. Chiara Rodriguez makes it a 2nd gold medal of the championships for her, taking the long jump gold in a world record mark. Adding to the 100 metres she's taken. Anna Grimaldi, a 2nd medal for her. Also, she picked up a medal in that 100 metres. She takes the silver. Talia Williams, a lifetime best for her, like it was for Grimaldi. Williams in bronze.
On the track, the men's 100 metres T51 featured the 2 greatest athletes ever in this. Peter Gannon taking the win in this heat over Tony Pismanen. They're both into the final, and so is Edgar Navarro of Mexico.
Second heat saw Roger Hapsch with a championship record, 19.96 seconds, going through with Cody Forney, the wheelchair rugby player. Mohamed Berahal also into the final, along with De Preya and Fonseca, the fastest of the two heats.
Jerissa Gebert, the reigning world champion, back-to-back over 100 metres, looking good in the two here. She's into the final along with Liu Kujing and Laya Ishatile.
Well, the world and Paralympic champion Liu went in the first heat. The leader Simplicio, though, will like her chances of winning a world title. She qualified in 25.61. She's already taken a gold in the 400 and a bronze in the 100 here. Lifetime best for Merziova and Garcia Fallaghan in second and third.
A famous double for Belgian parasport. Maxime Caraban adds the 100 metres crown to his 400 title. Fabian Blum, the silver for Switzerland, and Leonardo Perez, the bronze for Mexico. Sam McIntosh in fourth.
Opening heat of two in the women's 400 metres T13. Saw Erin Kirchhoff reign supreme. Suarez de Silva, the world champion, in second position qualifying, along with Sasaki of Japan and Alice Matei through as a fastest loser. Celia Turkey, who finished fifth, disqualified for running out of her lane.
Lemia Valieva, the 100 metres champion, is the reigning Paralympic 400 champion. She's won this heat to go through for Azerbaijan along with Duarte, Keita and Peace Oroma.
Well, what a heat it was in the opening and the second one of the men's 800 metres T34. Wally Katila breaking the championship record in the opening one. Al Hamadi, the reigning world champion, second. Gong also through, and Roberto Michel of Mauritius qualifying with a fastest loser time.
And then another championship record, 5 seconds faster, incredibly. Chewa Ratana of Thailand going for his third gold of the week, qualifying along with Austin Smeek, a new America's record for Canada. Wang and Reid McCracken also going through. More about Smeek in a moment.
Then the opening heat of the universal 4x100 metres relay saw China going through in first place. Brazil and Germany failed to qualify. It was slower than the second heat, and the United States of America, who did take the win, disqualified.
Yes, Great Britain have gone through. USA are out. European record for Britain in 47.17. Canada in second place and Japan in third. That disqualification just coming through.
Well, I suspect it may have been for the final changeover because it looked very, very tight indeed. As it is, it doesn't matter. China go through, United States are out. 5 finals in the morning session, 1 on the track, and there were 4 in the field. This evening, 10 finals, 5 in the field, 5 in the track. From me, Tolson Tollett, Will Downing and Steph Reed, goodbye.
China, 14th gold of the title, 38 overall, 35 medals for Brazil, 12 of them gold. United States, Ukraine, Switzerland having a time of it. Great Britain, of course, claiming their 7th gold in the javelin last night. A legendary week, of course, too, for Ecuador, with those 2 absolutely astonishing golds that we've seen here, with world records to match. Anna Grimaldi, Danielle Aitchison scoring for New Zealand so well. Belgium with those 2 goals for Caraban, the second coming today in the 100 metres. Canada through Brent Lakerdos getting a gold. That's good news for everybody. His medal ceremony is on soon. Finland through Amanda Katoya. Excellent gold medal claim there. Mauritius, historically for the first time, have claimed medals for the first time globally in this sport. Alphonse with 2. They have 3 in total. Norway through Kashafali, Bulgaria through Rushdie. Denmark, well, they've got a really good, through Normark, young female long jumper coming up. They've got a male long jump medal here through Daniel Wagner. Egypt and Saudi Arabia with a silver each. Last night through Bertrand in the long jump, France got their 4th bronze medal of the week. Sri Lanka with the lone bronze. Czechia, Kazakhstan, 59 nations out of the 107 have won medals this week, and for quite a few, their best ever haul.
So a world record in the morning session to Chiara Rodriguez. It's her 2nd gold medal of these championships. World record to go with that 100 metres gold as well. 4 championship records, 2 in one race in the morning session. China are going up against Brazil. It's big. Bye for now.